And welcome back to the Late for Loading podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here with my co-host Josh, and on this week's episode, we have one of my best friends in the entire world, Mr. Andrew Tkaczyk of The Ghost Inside, joining us. And this is actually going to be completely transparent here. This is take two of doing this intro because our world, our corner of the music industry, kind of got shook pretty hard last week with the sudden and tragic loss of Dave Shapiro and all the other passengers that were on his plane with him. Daniel, who formerly played drums for The Devil Wears Prada, and all of their very close friends. And it didn't seem right to start this week's episode without acknowledging what a massive loss it is, really for like I said, it directly our scene of music, but just kind of the music industry as a whole, and the impact that Dave and Daniel and all the people who were in that plane really had on just the world of music as a whole.
Yeah, you happen to be the person who called me and told me what happened, which I don't know if that's the universe's funny way of whatever, but regardless, you just happen to be that person, and I didn't believe it, and I don't want to believe it. I still don't want to believe it, but unfortunately, it is what it is, and it's just something that we have to learn to adapt with. But I feel like there is going to be a hole in our side of the industry that I don't know that'll ever be filled again. There's a lot of great agents, but part of what made Dave was just that. It was Dave, and it was his personality and the way that he was, and something that I'm going to take from him, from the way that I operate moving forward, is that Dave would respond to anyone. He treated the biggest agent or the biggest manager or the biggest band the same exact way he treated the smallest. And, I've talked about this before. When I was making my transition from tour management to management, it was hard. People didn't want to take it serious. And Dave was one of those people that really kind of gave me hope that, hey, I could do this. Because if an agent that size would respond to me, then there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do this. And he just, he made me feel like, even though I was just starting out, and even though I was, didn't have much value at the time in that role, talking to him, you would never know that. And like I said, there's a big hole that's never going to be filled. And his assistants, Emma and Kendall, also, I work closely with them too. And we're, like you said, Daniel, I didn't know Selena or Dom personally, but man, what a loss. I'm just at a loss for, I don't even know what else to say. What a loss. And yep. I feel for their families. I feel for, I know Selena had a little girl. There's a lot of pain surrounding this one.
Yeah. Just to kind of echo what you said a little bit more. I posted this in my Instagram stories, the day after, we got the news about everything, but, Dave booked Texas in July for the first 2 or 3 years of us being a full-time touring band. And I remember being in the van on my first tour with the band and getting the call from our manager saying that Dave Shapiro was interested in booking the band. And it was in that moment that it kind of felt like, okay, like there's some promise in the future of the band. Like that was like the first, obviously signing to Equavision, which the band did a couple months before I joined, like that was a big turning point for the band. But knowing that someone like Dave Shapiro, who at that point, we're talking like late 2010, early 2011, had already made a massive statement and name for himself in the industry, like knowing that we had somebody like him in our corner felt like, well, now we have no reason that we can't make something of this, you know what I mean? And
right.
it just gave us like this crazy sense of confidence, and to go even further into like, you saying that he treated everybody the same, with the same amount of respect, regardless of the size of your band, or you as an agent, or you as a manager. There was a year where it was actually the tour that I met the Ghost Inside guys on. It was a Devil Wears Prada tour. So this is I met Daniel on this tour as well. We went through the Southern California area around Thanksgiving, and obviously there's no show on Thanksgiving. And since all of us were away from home, Dave hosted the entire tour package at his house for Thanksgiving, and we were the smallest band on the bill, for sure the smallest band on his roster. At that point, we were going through some turmoil with changing band members and changing management, and like our band was kind of like trying to figure out how to regroup ourselves. And I'm sure we weren't the easiest band for him to work with at the time, but I specifically remember him going out of his way at this Thanksgiving gathering to like pull us all aside at different points, one-on-one, and like kind of give us a bit of a pep talk and like kind of reassure us that like things were going to be okay and that we could pull things together and still have like a future, at a point where I think that all of us were kind of feeling pretty discouraged. And like I said, we smallest band on his roster at that point for sure. And he like, was still treating us in a way and letting us know that his relationship with us was just as important to him as any other band he worked with at the time. And like, that's he didn't have to do that,
Not at all.
But that's just the kind of guy that Dave was. And like, he worked with the Ghost Inside. He was one of the first people to find out about our accident and go into the process of like alerting the rest of our team and helping our, like, if I remember correctly, he donated a bunch of airline miles to our family members to help get them to Texas to help take care of us. He was a huge part of putting the Shrine show together. Like he was a massive player in multiple points in my life. And we haven't worked together for quite a few years now, but we got to kind of reunite with him in Australia last year because he was there with I Prevail, and it was almost like it's like we never skipped a beat. It was like the same Dave that we had always known. It may not
in his mind you didn't skip a beat.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
what's so crazy.
Exactly.
That's what's so crazy and special about the guy.
Yes,
man. Like when Unwell was on the Amity tour, he didn't know them. They were a small opening band, got added last minute. He in San Diego, he walked into their dressing room and introduced himself. Hey guys, I'm Dave Shapiro. Just wanted to welcome you to Sound Talent. Blah 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 blah. Like, he didn't have to do that. You're talking about, and listen. There's a lot of great agents out there. There's a lot of There's a lot of huge agents out there, but for some reason, it just felt like Dave Shapiro was the North Star for our genre and our world.
Totally.
And I love a lot of agents and I love a lot of people, but I just don't see how this hole can be filled. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and it's like, even if your favorite band wasn't booked by him, your favorite band has for sure done a tour that Dave booked and has interacted with him without a doubt. It was really hard to watch how many people are hurting from this. It's like basically anyone I've ever met through music, we all are feeling the loss of this one, whether it be Dave, whether it be Daniel, whether it be Dave's assistants or Dom or anyone else, Selena, anyone else who was in that plane. Like, everyone's feeling this one. And so it's definitely going to be, it's going to be a hard one for all of us to recover from. And it just didn't feel right going into this week's episode without addressing that and sending some love to
all the love, man.
Yes.
all the love to all the families and anybody else affected. And even some of those families in that nobody died, but some of those families in San Diego that are out of their house or dealing with the effects of this whole thing.
Totally,
the whole thing is just
tragic
terrible,
across the board.
It sure is.
Yeah.
But I guess we should get into the episode. One of the things that I enjoyed about this episode, I think with Andrew, is the fact that for some reason the bus accident is not something that I ever feel the need to talk with you guys about. And this is my first time kind of getting into that with the two of you and kind of learning things about it. But it was a lot that overall, the episode was a lot of fun. It started out, high, normal characteristics for Andrew, joking, carrying on. And then it got deep. a little bit, and we learned, some stuff, and then it kind of came back up and rounded out funny and fun like you would expect an episode with Andrew to go. And listen, to anybody I get the opportunity to talk sports memorabilia with, I'm all there. I'm all in. I'm there.
You're a simple man.
I'm a simple man.
It's much the same with like, you would think that, as two guys who lived through the bus accident together, that we would have had a ton of deep conversations about everything. But it's like, I don't know if it's like wanting to just put it behind us or what, but it's not something that we don't sit around and chat about it very often. And I feel like every time, I get to hear somebody in the band talk about it, I learned something else about their perspective of things that I didn't know before. So, I lived it with the guy, but I still learned stuff about what that whole process was like, coming from his perspective, which is, vastly different from my own. So that was interesting. And like you said, anybody who has followed Andrew or knows anything about Andrew at all, that he is like the lovable big goofball guy and just loves to make everybody laugh. So I've been working.
Does a great job at it too,
he does. But I've been working through the edit of this episode and just literally cracking up the entire time at the antics. So on that note, enjoy this week's episode with Andrew Tkaczyk of The Ghost Inside.
Yeah, this one goes out to Dave, Emma, Kendall, Daniel, Dom, and Selena.
Absolutely. This episode of Late for Load-In is brought to you by Rockabilia.com, your go-to destination for 100% official band merchandise. No bootlegs, no cheap knockoffs, just authentic gear straight from the bands you love. From metal and punk to classic rock and beyond, Rockabilia has over 500,000 items in stock. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, patches, and even rare, hard-to-find collectibles. If you're looking for something exclusive, Rockabilia drops brand new limited edition merch every month. So if you see something you like, grab it before it's gone. And in fact, we just placed an order for some new merch ourselves. I picked up a very, very cool Linkin Park Meteora hoodie. Josh, did you grab something?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple things. I got a super limited Eminem tour shirt, and then what you mentioned not missing out. I saw a Meatloaf tour shirt from 2005 that I really, really wanted. Unfortunately, they didn't have my size, so I missed out on that one.
Well, there you have it. Don't wait. Our friends at Rockabilia are hooking up Late for Load-In listeners with 10% off when you use code LOAD at checkout. So if your band T collection needs a refresh and you want to support the artists who make the music we love, hit up rockabilia.com, load up your cart, and drop in code LOAD, LOAD, for that sweet discount. Now let's roll today's show. All right, Andrew Tkaczyk of The Ghost Inside, one of my dearest friends in the entire world. Welcome to the Late for Load-In podcast, my friend. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys? I love you both so much.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be a blast. You know that we wrote out questions for you, but I have no fucking reason, no explanation for why, because there's no possible way this is going to go on script.
I mean, no, I'll answer them like completely seriously.
Every one of them.
You couldn't even answer that
No,
seriously.
time. We're good. I'll be mature.
How's your golf game?
Really bad. I played yesterday.
Okay.
I played a week ago. It was okay, which was the first time I've swung a club since August. Had one of the best shots of my life, par 3, 190 yards, teed up a 6-iron, started it on the green, rolled 2 feet away from the hole. It was so close to a hole in one.
What was the
Zero.
wind direction?
There was no wind that day. Yesterday, a little bit, but yesterday I was just off.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, golf
You're just
is so
off
hard.
and can't figure out why you're off.
Yeah, I think I'm just bad at stuff. I chalk it up to just. I just chalk it up to.
That's bullshit, because you are one of those people that's just good at everything you do, even when you don't try. You're just good at it. So that's not true. I think it's just the fact that, I mean, how often have you been playing, pal?
Not a lot.
Practice makes perfect.
That's true.
Exactly my
That's
point.
true.
Okay,
That's
but
true.
let me give you. I played recently, probably like a week ago now. I went and did the Kevin Lyman golf tournament.
Ooh, that sounds
Hadn't
fun.
played in like 6 months, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a lie. I played one time in 6 months, probably. But I was throwing darts.
You were crushing
It was awesome. It was fucking awesome. It was like I just got up there and was hitting every single ball nicely. The time before that, I think I probably hit 7 drives on top of the ball and just rolled down the fairway.
Yeah. Oh, God, the worst. I hate
Couldn't
when I
figure
hit.
it out.
It's almost like sometimes the more you play, the worse you get. Like, step back for a couple months and then go play again. You're just killing it.
Yeah, and just
it's weird.
freely comfortable.
I feel that way about even guitar and stuff sometimes too.
Yeah.
Where there will be like a riff or something that I'm trying to learn, and I will play the same riff over and over and over for hours and somehow seemingly get worse, and I'll give up and I'll pick up the guitar the next day and then I'll just be able to do it. Like sometimes that just, your body's just like, nah, dog, the muscle memory is not going to play. It's not going to do it. And then you take a break for a second and it works out. I don't know why it does that, but yeah.
Apply that to my personal life.
That might be smart.
In what way? In what
You're
way?
like, I'm going to stop being a responsible father for a couple months. see if these kids just sort of figure it out. That might work. Yeah. And it happens.
That's not a bad idea.
It happens with drums too. I remember I hadn't played drums in a long time, and then I got the E kit out of the closet right behind me, which is currently it's in there right now. Set it up. I put it out like 220 BPM, and I'm going like I was like, I've never done blast beats. How am I Euro blasting right now? Like perfectly. I posted it on Instagram. I was so excited about blast
remember.
beating. And I literally, that was a moment of going, where'd the fuck that come from?
Sometimes I almost feel like the more that you do stuff, like the more that you do, like for instance, guitar playing, like I said, the more that you do that, and if you're not being conscious of using like good technique the whole time, the more that you're like subconsciously teaching yourself more and more and more bad technique, and it's like making its way in, and almost like taking that break resets that technique, and so you go back to good technique again. So I wonder if like it's the same thing with you, where like we're out on tour and like every night you're playing and you're not always focusing on technique because you're like trying to put on a show,
of course.
And like so does like 30 nights of like not paying attention to that stuff and worrying more about like the theatrics of it all, like slowly teach us to have just really horrible technique and in some ways make us worse. And then like taking a break just resets all that. Like sometimes I wonder that, because I don't have any other, after playing guitar for like 20 plus years, why I can sit and work on something for hours, feel like I'm getting worse, go to bed and wake up the next day and all of a sudden be able to do it like it was never a problem in the first place. Like otherwise I can't explain it. Like I literally don't know what else it could possibly be.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's a thing though. Maybe that's the lesson of today. The whole lesson is just take a break every now and then. It's good. It's good for us. It's good for us.
Might be good for us. Yeah. It should be.
I feel like this just turned into an after-school special PSA of some sort, and I'm not liking it. So
hey, fuck it.
Let's move on.
Fun fact. Andrew created the Late for Load-In theme song.
That's right.
He sure did.
I did.
Where'd the inspiration from that come from?
I literally just go, what does Chris like? What do I like? And New Metal Riff came out. And I went, wait for loaded. And I put a filter on it that sounded like...
That's your voice.
Yeah, it's me. That's me saying...
we got to pay royalties.
Yeah. And I cough it up. And so it's ended up,
your pennies are coming.
Chris nailed it. He goes, it reminds me of like Monster Jam or something. I was going for like Supercross Arena, like announcer. And there it is. Hi, Sid.
It's awesome.
I'm going to say hi to Uncle Andy. Phoenix, come here.
Hi, Baba.
Look at him.
Dad, don't lick that.
That's gonna taste awesome.
You going to bed?
Okay, good night.
Anyway, where were we?
We were talking about Andrew, and we should just avoid this topic because we don't want to pay any royalties. We don't have any money.
Nah, he can have his half a penny.
How are you gonna cut it? What tool?
That's not my problem. That's for him to figure out.
If you had one tool, what would you use to cut it? And then how would you distribute it?
You know what? You make a good point. We're not giving him anything. Let's change topics. He doesn't get anything. All right. Fuck this.
So we got a lot to cover then with sports memorabilia for the Fallen Dreams, the Ghost Inside, possibly the fact that the two of you survived a bus accident.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, when did that happen?
What is that about?
Maybe you can tell us about that, Josh.
A couple years back.
Yeah. Which one do you want to jump into first? You want to talk to him about your sports memorabilia? Sure. Do you want to just jump into like...
No, let's go back.
Charlotte, Michigan.
I thought it was Detroit. I was going to tell you that actually Barry Sanders and Eminem put Detroit on the map for me.
Of course. I think they did for a lot of people.
Okay, we were just
Eminem for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just curious. Chris doesn't know who Barry Sanders is, but we were just curious on what life was like growing up in Charlotte, Detroit.
Charlotte, Detroit.
To be fair, I had to tell him how to pronounce Charlotte before this.
I was like,
I sent the name of the city and he thought it was Charlotte.
I said, wait a
Everyone
minute.
does.
I thought he grew up in Detroit. What are you talking about, Charlotte?
You're like North
Fuck.
Carolina. He's not Southern.
I can't ask him about Detroit. He's from Charlotte. I'm all fucked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's spelled Charlotte, so I don't know why. Does Charlotte think that they're like bougie for pronouncing it a different way? Because I'll tell you right now,
Yes.
it's not. It's not bougie. It's far less than. That's where I come from. It's about an hour and a half south of Detroit, a little bit southwest of Detroit. It's below Lansing. I don't know if my geography's right there, but it's
That part's not important.
yeah, it's whatever. It's far enough away from Detroit to where I definitely didn't grow up in Detroit. I grew up going to Detroit, going to see, concerts and live sports in Detroit, all of the above. Charlotte, though, growing up, very interesting. I mean, you guys know my personality very well. That's the place I came from. That's what spawned me. My upbringing there, not a lot to do. Small town of less than 10,000 people. Eaton County Fair. Let's go. A lot of corn dogs.
Right.
Yeah, there was a Dairy Queen.
Oh shit.
We got one of those.
Yep, and then
I don't think I've ever
How many
eaten there.
how many after school fights happened at the Dairy Queen?
Oh, countless. And you couldn't get through even a small cookie dough McFlurry Blizzard without seeing a combat happen. That's about it though. Dairy Queen, corn dogs, and the Eaton County Fair, and that's pretty much it.
Do you think that you got your general Joker sense of humor from having to just find a way to keep yourself entertained in such a small town?
Probably, yeah. I mean, coming from this town like Charlotte, especially in the era of my most formative years, I would say were probably like junior high school, and that was the years that Jackass was like popping off, started. So like we're all like, let's go make our own Jackass tapes,
right?
So like all that dumb humor and boredom, I think just created myself and my friends being goofballs.
Your brothers have a pretty similar sense of humor too, don't they? Like, does it kind of just run in your family though?
Yeah. It runs in the family. A lot of jokesters. Yeah. Big fan of
like your dad's definitely a jokester too, a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of dark humor, a lot of self-deprecating dark humor. That's how we cope with all of our unfortunate things that happened. We just use one of my dad's favorite things that he says, and he laughs every time he says it. He goes, "I laugh when things suck." And he'll probably watch this and spit take if he's having his iced tea at home. Yeah.
What was the music scene like in Charlotte?
I mean, until like I feel like we created one. I don't think there was one other than like the local bar bands, that would go there. But that's not a scene that I was in yet. I was too young for that, right? So I would say just I think it all started like I got talked into going to this youth group every Wednesday night, and I think the main thing for me wasn't about any part of like the religion or anything. It was just I got to go have Hungry Howie's Pizza and see my friends on a school night. You know what I mean? And hang out. And there was a live band there always. And I would always like watch the drummer and just be like, "Oh man, this is so cool. I would like to play drums. Oh, look at they're doing this. They're playing guitar." And I think that was one of like my earliest memories of like really seeing live music, kind of on a consistent basis. Cause that's all we had really was that. There was one like kind of punk hardcore venue, very short lived in that small town that I saw a few shows at. Other than that, as kids, we would go to Lansing and the closest cities around Charlotte to go see local shows. And I don't even know how we all got into metal. We all just kind of liked, Slipknot. I feel like a lot of people's heavy music journey started with Slipknot in our age group, especially.
Yep.
Mine
Korn,
did.
Slipknot, Limp Bizkit. We start there. Then we discovered like metal and death metal and this whole scene.
Yep.
And yeah, in Charlotte specifically, not much of a scene, but then myself and my friends sort of created one through our first band, For the Fallen Dreams.
Weren't you kind of a Christcore guy though? Was there any Christcore happening at this youth group thing?
There was.
Maybe that was a
Yes.
that had to have been the gateway, because I feel
Yes.
like that was also a gateway drug for a lot of people back in that era too. Is like all of like the haste, like the Solid State records in the Face Down Records bands.
Can you explain Christcore to people who might not know what that means?
Do you want to hit people with what Christcore is, Andy?
I was like, is that a cereal that I've never tried before? Is what's
Yeah,
going on?
sure
there?
is.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Christcore. I mean, you kind of just said it. Think of like the year 2003 to 2007 Solid State Records. It's that right
Christian
there.
Yep.
Christian metal.
Yeah.
Christian metal, hardcore. It was a very big thing. In fact, it was a thing that it was almost like a guarantee. It was like a cheat code for starting a band back in the day, where you could just label your band a Christian metal band or metalcore band or hardcore band, even if you weren't, and it would almost automatically give you a jump start to your career. There were so many fake Christian whatever bands back in the day that
sure
were like,
feel
we're
like
literally
that.
just throwing the title on it just to try to get a leg up. It was a thing that was happening for a while.
I'd love to get a leg up. Now,
God damn it.
now, yes, but you are right. It was massive in our little community of friends, in our little friend circle.
Right.
Dude, Norma Jean, As I Lay Dying, With All Sincerity, Zayo, Haste the Day.
Was As Cities Burn Christcore?
They were a Solid State band, right? I don't know if they
I think so.
labeled themselves that, but
What was Emery? Emery was
Yes.
on that side of
They
things,
were-
right? But
they were
on the
a
softer side of
Christcore
things?
band, but yes, they were.
there's so many from that era that they like claimed.
Under Oath was
Yeah.
probably the biggest
The
one.
biggest.
A lot of them
the biggest
claimed
for
it
sure.
and then like didn't, and it's just like, hey man, whatever. I did the same thing when I
gotta
was
tell
young.
you, I loved all of those bands, and
Same.
I didn't even realize that they were singing about that.
Me either.
Oh yeah, that
Me
didn't
either.
matter to me at all. I listened to them and just fucking thought the bands were sick. I didn't give a shit what the hell the dude was screaming about. I
Me
just thought the
neither.
music was cool.
I actually have a pretty cool, like funny. We were talking about this because one of my earliest, actually, it might be my number one earliest memory and experience of metalcore as a genre was I would skateboard with a kid a couple years younger than me that lived in my neighborhood, and his older brother. He was super cool. He would like showed us like Snot. He had every like parental advisory, Limp Bizkit, Korn, like new metal.
Mhm.
You know, which new metal is still my roots and my number one. Like that's
Same.
my stomping grounds. But like he once showed us a band called Zayo, and he showed us in his car while we were driving to like the skate park. I was like 12 or 13 or 14, something like that, and I was just like, oh, this is demonic death metal. I shouldn't be listening to this. Holy crap. Like it blew my mind. So like until like it was probably like 2 or 3 years that he like burned me Zayo on a CD. And I found out like later, like years later, that they were a Christian band. I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. Cause I thought they were super not, just because I was the most extreme thing I was probably used to at the time was, Mudvayne, Slipknot, which still are insanely heavy and extreme. But I think it was Dan Waden's vocals that made the constant screaming that made me go, this is fucking insane. I've never heard like anything like this.
He also just has like the most absurd scream
It
on the planet.
sounds so scary.
It's so specific. It's like only him and like the original Haste the Day vocalists sound like that when they scream. You know what I mean? And it's like it's so specific, and it does sound literally like what I would imagine like a demon in the depths of hell sounding like when they're screaming at you.
True.
It does. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I was totally chill with just like, I would go to sleep at night with like my CD player full blast, listening to Lies of Serpents, River of Tears, just full blast. Like and it just embedding into my brain.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes so much
It
sense.
does. It seriously does. Yeah. So that's like, it's fun. It's just funny we're talking about those bands because it's definitely my earliest like exposure to metalcore, I would say. Zayo, Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, Norma Jean. early as lay dying,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Well, you talked about being drawn to the drums. I was curious if was there a particular thing that kind of had you drawn to that? And then, do you remember your first kit?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that so I was always interested in guitar first. Like before I was ever even considered like touching drumsticks, I liked guitar. I played guitar. But I think dude, it had to have been that self-titled Slipknot and Joey Jordison.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one for me too.
Oh man, that made me go, all right, maybe I should try drums. This sounds fun to do. It sounds fun to play. I used to have it's gonna show my age and all of our age, Kaza. We used to download music videos.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it would take a week and a half to download a 40-second clip.
Yep.
And I had this one of Joey Jordison tracking the bridge for surfacing.
Yep,
And
I've watched that video probably 150 times.
Dude, same. Like that specific video might be what made me go, I want to try playing drums. Like that fucking video. I was just like, I want to like groove like that. That sounds fun. And so my buddy, one of my best friend still to this day since I was in kindergarten, his name's Sam. You've met Sam. He had a drum kit. He had a Yamaha kit, and my friend Jim, who I was in For the Fallen Dreams with, they were like he had a guitar, and they would go jam, and I would go like just watch them, and I didn't play either at the time. And I was just like, this is cool. I want to try. And I just sat down on Sam's drums, and it just instantly made sense to me. Like I instantly was able to play. I think that Jim started playing the riff to Sleep Now in the Fire by Rage Against the Machine, that bang, 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 and I just started immediately going like instantly. And I just remember them being like, "What?"
Remember earlier when I said he's the kind of guy who's just good at everything he does without trying? This is my point.
I'm going to tell you, this is super fascinating to me because I've sat behind many a drum kit, and it makes absolutely zero sense to me.
Yeah, it just made sense to me, and I'm saying that I'm telling the story as if it was just like no, but I mean if I were to like get in a time machine and go watch I probably sounded like shit. But it was close enough to be like, holy, like how do you know how to keep that even the time like that well? So right from that day, I remember that day specifically. Me going home and be like, can I have drums for Christmas? I want drums for Christmas. I was probably 12, 13. I think it was year 2000. I got my first kit. My parents got me. It was CB drums starter kit.
Hey,
yeah.
My first snare drum was a CB snare drum.
I had a whole,
no way.
Yeah, CB drums with like their cymbals that just sound like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle trash can lids. And
that is so specific. Yeah. Who the fuck says that?
You know what I'm talking. You know I'm right though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Did you go to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live in concert as a kid?
I did.
Yeah, I did too.
I actually I
still have the VHS.
I take it back. I have the VHS, but we got it as kids from Pizza Hut. Because the turtles would come, it would be someone dressed as the Ninja Turtles, and you could go like hang out with them and eat pizza at Pizza Hut. But we saw.
Are you telling me the Ninja Turtles aren't real? Is that what you're telling me right now?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. You can't say that.
I'm not.
Yeah, don't say that.
Don't quote me.
Don't tell me that.
I don't want to put that out there. That's not my belief.
You can't do that. No, not mine either.
Okay,
I won't let you put that out there.
Let's relax now.
Okay. All right, I'll take it down.
That got tense. Can we move on?
Yeah, that was getting on. I'm.
My bad.
Heart rate elevated.
Chris, just take it. Take it.
My bad, guys.
Just move on.
I saw Turtles live at Disney World the first time my family took a trip to Disney World in Orlando. So we saw like the live parade thing they did there, and I think it was like sort of the same deal. If I remember correctly, I don't know. I was like fucking 3. So
I want to jump ahead a little bit just for a second to where we are now. Do you regret making drums your instrument of choice?
Why? No. No.
Your hands are destroyed on tour all the time.
Yeah.
You're sweaty after you play for 3.5 seconds.
You know what pisses?
You love it? Do you still love it though?
I do.
Andy, do you love it?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it when we're performing live.
Sure.
And that is it. When we're practice, I want to kill all of them because they're just sitting there like, chill. I'm just like giving it everything I got. I'm sweating. They're all like, quite literally, sometimes Zach goes, like points and laughs at me because I'm like fucking sweaty. My blisters on my hands, and like he's just sitting down on his stool. And yeah, I mean, drums, what a pain in the ass. But I tell you what, man, what an outlet to just get rage out. If you, because you can just
Sure.
fucking beat the shit out of those things. And especially with the type of music we play, I know that sounds like kind of corny to be like, oh, yeah, you need to get some anger out, play the drums hard. Whatever. I get it. But it's kind of true. Like, if you're ever having a bad day and we go play like the pressure point, at the end of pressure point, it's time to my goal is to break the drums. And it's very fun to do that. And it's like cathartic. It's other than that, yeah, like the early touring days, before I had, a drum tech and I was lucky enough to have like the other things that we have now. Like when I was in a van and then lugging my drums, setting them up, tearing them down myself, like the worst instrument for that. It's just so much shit.
Absolutely.
It's the most expensive. I'll go.
It breaks the most.
It breaks the most, and like you have to go. Like, what do you do? You know how many tours I did with an entire set of cracked cymbals the entire time, where you might as well not even play them. They're so broken. They're so dead.
Yep.
Like. Big pain in the ass, but they are so fun. They are so fun to play live too. I mean,
I just had to troll a little bit, just because I know that it sucks to have to like get sweaty for sound check or like have destroyed hands for like the first week of a tour. Like that sucks, but that's the price we pay. And the not liking to play drums at practice is not just you, because Adam from Texas is the same way. Adam hates if we play through a Texas set and anybody suggests playing any more than that, he basically goes, nope.
yeah, like
that's not happening.
And
That's because he doesn't need to practice.
yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, but the rest of us do.
Yeah.
No, it's just a lot of work for him, though.
Yeah.
For a 30-minute set, drummers are basically running a marathon while us guitar players are
Comfortable.
thumbing our butts. So
Yeah, it's
I get
and
it.
we've done a lot of headlining. As the Ghost Inside's done a lot of headlining the last few years, so it's been a lot of, okay, it's time for a week of rehearsals, and we're doing an hour and 10, hour 15, whatever. And I'll run through the set once, and then everyone's like, "Cool, want to run it back?" And I'm like, "Fuck you." Fine, but I'm not stoked. Yeah.
He's a team player.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. He's a team player.
But sometimes it will literally. There's been a few times, Chris, where you've seen me go, "Hey, if I continue to like, we'll be on like day 4 or 3 of practice, and I'm like, tour starts tomorrow or the day after, and if I do any more, I might not have a good set to start the tour off because like my hands are like seizing up from just we're getting up there in age, and I find after like a week of rehearsals, Chris, my body is just absolutely so beaten just from running the set a bunch of times. Like my hands, especially.
My forearms will get like that too.
How many times do you guys typically run the set in rehearsals, just so people can understand?
I feel like
it really depends. It depends on usually what, if it's a set. Like, we're mid like record cycle right now, right? So like all of the songs in the set we have played before. The only time we get into a scenario like Andrew's talking about, where we're running the set multiple times a day, is usually when we're introducing a handful of new songs and we have to like really iron those songs out. And that's when it starts to be like, we might play the full set twice, and we might also hit the new songs like 5 to 10 times each.
And the only reason that I asked that is because to people who don't understand, they could just think, well, what's the difference between practice and playing a show?
Well, I think playing a show, you have adrenaline to kind of cover up the grueling part of an hour long rehearsal twice. You have the adrenaline, right. And then you also know that on that last final hit, that last note of the set, you're done, and you don't do it for another 24 hours or a couple days. Yeah. And I feel like too, I feel like we'll set like 4 or 5 days to rehearse before any given thing. And if we're throwing new songs in, we'll take 1 or 2 of those days just to nail the new songs till we feel good about them. Then we run the set multiple times. Yeah. But we do when we're putting new songs in the set that we haven't like fully performed as a band in a long time or at all yet, we just like, let's focus on that for like the whole day. I think that's a good way of doing it, because it's like how many times has this band played Between the Lines? It's gonna be fine. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
once we
right,
get to
right.
that, or once we get to Engine 45, like, yeah, whatever. It's the,
Unless we're playing Unspoken at a pop-up show in Australia, in which Andrew will forget 45 seconds of the song and skip right to the outro. So that will happen.
never happened.
Anyway, yeah. The other side of that too is, so the difference between practicing and a live show is, obviously a live show, you just play the set once. You know, you play that 1 hour once. You can figure out how to pace yourself. At rehearsal, where we're doing it multiple times, it's like he said, you get to that last hit and you're like, fuck, I have to do this all over again.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we also, the thing that differs for us now, and I think this is becoming more of a normal thing for most of our peers, is that not all of us live in the same place anymore. And back in the day, you know, when bands are starting out and stuff, they might rehearse a couple times a week, you know, at least once a week even. And so you don't have to practice for as long. We only practice right before we go on tour. So like we're kind of forced to smash all of the, you know, like those weeks and months of once a week rehearsals, we have to smash them into a handful of days and try to make as much progress. So
Sure.
it can be grueling,
Yeah.
but that's just part of the gig, right?
Yeah. And sometimes, because
It's really rough for me though. I think Andrew should feel bad for me in those scenarios.
What's the sarcasm here?
Because playing the set multiple times for me is really tough.
It's a lot of work for you, isn't it? Physically demanding. How's your seat?
Yes.
Is your seat comfortable?
Oh, yeah.
No, you don't. No, you stand. You guys actually do stand. I feel like if you sat in practice, you'd get to a set and be like, "Oh, I have to stand and headbang now. Oh, I can't play the
Probably.
song." But yeah, like, I forgot what I was going to say just now. But what I was going to say is four of us live in Vegas. Chris has to come out to us, so yeah, we usually get him out here for like a week, and then there's times where that first practice, I'll be like, Jesus Christ, we should break up. I'm like,
I'm not gonna lie. I've had similar thoughts.
well, I've walked away going, I can't play drums, but it's because it's been so long. You know, it's been such a long time. And then by like day 2 and 3, we're like, oh, we got it. We're fucking good. We're cooking now. Yeah, it's interesting how it works, but you know, that's how we have to do it. I wish that I had a space, because I have an E-kit, and that's all good and fun, and I love that thing, and it's definitely fun to like mess around on, but like I can't really practice for like how I'm gonna play a show or go on tour unless I have my full rig, which Chris is part of that. Like Chris sourced the technology that I use to be able to play at the capacity that I'm gonna play at when we're out there. I can't like do that without a room, my acoustic drum kit, the triggers, all the pieces. I have many more pieces. So like, I wish I could, because if I had a setup where I could just walk into a room and go sit down and I have like, this is what it's going to be like on stage, I'd be in there every day.
Well, I pulled us way off of course, which
That's
at the top
fine.
of this we said was going to happen, but you actually brought up something that does lead me back to a next question that I had for you. Was you said that you don't have a place to practice on a regular basis now. Did you set up your kit just like in your parents' basement, and did you take lessons at any point? I don't know if I've ever asked you that. Are you completely self-taught, or did you ever take lessons at any point?
Yeah, no lessons, self-taught. And I had my drum kit in my tiny little bedroom upstairs in our 2-story house. Yeah. And my parents were just totally cool, or at least didn't let me know they weren't cool with me just bashing away.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could see your parents being super chill with that. That doesn't shock me.
I don't even, honestly, like, could be because it was so long ago. Because I mean, dude, this was like, oh my God, you know, it's crazy. I've been playing drums for 25 years, I think. That's
crazy.
It was the year 2000 when I got my first drum kit. So we'll say that's when I started playing drums. I don't remember a single time that either my mom or dad and even my brothers like came into my room while I was playing and they're like, can you stop? That never happened.
Right.
That they let me totally just go. And I don't think that I ever did it like a crazy amount to where it was like, I'm in there for 5 hours going ham, you know, trying to play fucking Mudvayne. But, but it was, they just always supported, man. They always supported. They always let me do my thing. I mean, I think it helped. It helped me feel free to create, you know? And,
yeah.
and get the chops and learn how to do it myself.
What about when you decided that you were going to try and like pursue it as a career path? They were supportive then too?
Yes, very. Yeah, because man, we were playing shows like on the weekends, just like I'm sure you did the same thing when you were in bands. On the weekends, we would go play shows around Michigan. From this was like during like 11th and 12th grade in high school, and word got around. People knew that like we had a band, and like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And we started seeing that like maybe it would be cool to try like once we get out of school, once we all graduate. What if we went out and like tried to tour and like played outside of Michigan? So like once we talked about doing that, we started like on the weekends, not just going to Michigan. We would go play in Ohio. We'd play in Illinois, Indiana, and like do weekend trips. And then we were like, this is cool. We like, I think we got a van through someone like dad's friend for cheap that like the band got to use for these weekenders. And like we got to experience at a very young, I mean, dude, I was like 16, 17 at that point. We got to experience like kind of a little tiny bit of taste of tour. Little did we know it would turn into what it did. But yeah, so
Right.
me and Jim Hawking basically booked our first tour with the other band from Lansing, Michigan called The Final Chapter on MySpace in like the spring of 2005, which was when we graduated high school.
I booked many a tour on MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace was so good for that
Yeah,
shit.
we played 6 of the 18 shows, but yeah.
As everybody does on self-book tours. Yeah, of course.
definitely.
Exactly. But that was so like, yeah, I graduated 17 years old, and maybe a couple weeks after graduation day, we hit the road. We like went and played in Florida, South Carolina. We got Pennsylvania. You know, we just kind of did like a Michigan down to Florida and back up. Atlanta. I think we played Savannah, but like a lot of them, you know, shows got canceled. So a lot of it was just like hanging in the van, road tripping with the boys,
just on vacation with the boys.
which correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty integral stuff. Like getting along, like you're learning to like live in close quarters with these dudes and with
Other
your buddies.
people, yeah.
And then from there we booked our own stuff for forever. You know, there was like 2 years of that, and then next thing you know, it just became like a full-time thing, and parents were always supportive of it.
That's awesome.
One of the things that I think that people don't realize about touring and about the lifestyles is a big part of that is being able to coexist in very, very close quarters with, you know, sometimes 10, 11 other, at this point in our lives, grown men.
There's probably not a lot of other things that'll test your patience quite like doing what we do.
Absolutely. We were talking about this on one other one. Is like, you know, if you get mad at somebody, you better figure it out because you're going to sleep right above or below that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get the time. You don't get that time to air out. No, literally stacked. For those who don't know what a tour bus looks like, I mean, you have 3 bunks on each side, 2 rows back, stacked.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to get good at communication skills quick because there is nowhere on tour to have your own space.
None.
You're in the green room, and there's limited green rooms. Most of the time, you can't go anywhere but the green room that's been given to your band. If you're in a bus, you ain't escaping nobody in a bus. You know,
Sure
you got to figure out how to communicate, and we're not always good at it.
The best you got is that closed
but we do
curtain.
our best.
Close the curtain and leave me the fuck alone. That's the best.
That's an important curtain. It really is.
It sure is.
Yep.
It sure is.
Yeah. Just next, it's the curtain. It's the bunk sock. It's
oh god. Let's not go there.
Anyway,
let's not go there.
Hold on. Now,
let's go back real quick. I want to talk about how For the Fallen Dreams even started, being that there was no music scene in Charlotte. Because I had a very similar thing here. Well, I don't live in the same town anymore, but in Mount Airy where I grew up, dude, nobody was doing fucking shows there, you know, and there was no scene there, and there were no bands there. And I started a band, and
it was far too. I mean, even from the early days when I was coming from to all the way out to your mom's, like that's a long freaking drive.
There were no bands playing there, and I found a fire hall and started booking shows, and then those shows started to take off, and another promoter came in and took it over and started doing the shows, and all of a sudden there was a scene there. But like, I only knew about the kind of music that I wanted to play because I grew up around Josh, and we had already started a band, but I moved to this town where none of that was happening. Like, how the fuck, in a similar situation, how the hell did you guys end up starting For the Fallen Dreams in such a fucking tiny little town?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that it probably all started, that day.
Because of that youth group?
Well, that was probably phase two. I would say the first part is when I played my friend Sam's kit while Jim was playing guitar. Once I got a kit, and I would even go over before I got, because that was like in the spring or summer of the Christmas, the months before I got my kit. So I would just go over and use Sam's kit, and Jim and I would jam, and like just literally playing like Blind by Korn over and over and just jamming whatever we wanted.
Right.
That's how it started. That's me and Jim just jamming together one-on-one until we met some more people when we got a little older throughout high school that had the same taste in music, nerding out about bands, like going to shows together, like going in. We all liked heavy music, punk, metal, you name it, rock. We all loved. There was this one point where all of us were obsessed with System of a Down when Toxicity came out, and that's all we liked. We would just cover them. We were obsessed with them. And then, just we started discovering, more of the Christian bands. Then the youth group thing came. And then from there, we're going to see our local Christian metalcore bands, like this band from Lansing called Ana Avea that ended up having members of Still Remains. I know Still Remains. They're from Grand Rapids. And we would go to that and be like, man, I want to play shows. This is so fun. We always have so much fun just going out to our local shows and getting Denny's after. It was a community. It was the funnest thing ever to do. And we felt like we could play well enough to try it. And then we just started through these other people we met who liked the music, we started a band. I don't even think it was called For the Fallen Dreams when we started, but we figured out a way to hang up an SM58 dangling from the heating vent in the basement and record a demo of us playing at the same time.
Yep. And Josh and I did that with our shitty ass band back in the day too.
It just sounds like but
static.
Yeah. But then that was enough.
Could hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
We could hear it.
Yeah. That was enough to get the attention of some of these other bands in our scene. And I think that they must have. I remember one of them being like, "You guys have something. You guys have a future." When we watch you guys, when you guys hop on these shows, you kind of have something. You guys are special. And we're like, okay, cool. Let's keep rolling with this. And then literally it just snowballed from there, just more and more and more, bigger and bigger. And
I want to know about your buddy Sam. What does Sam think? This guy just rolled in, played on his drum kit, took his thunder.
Sam
and now, was Sam in his own band, or did you just literally roll in there and be like, Sam, you can't do this. Let me just sit down and show you how it's done.
No,
and then you took over and you took his thunder. You joined his band, and now Sam.
Sounds like to me.
now you're this professional drummer, and Sam's over there flipping waffles at Waffle House.
No. Sam also just always just flat out encouraged me, supported me, was very stoked. I think he just was happy to hang out, be there. And Sam ended up doing some bands just same kind of way, just different friends all had these little bands with little scenery created. There was one time we did a show in Sam's parents' barn. We had there was 100 people there. There was it was crazy. It was hilarious. It was a barn with a big garage barn door that opened to the backyard with people, and we're just playing our shitty Christian metalcore music that we think we're cool with. And
Chris and I actually did our very first show in his grandma's basement.
Yes, that's true. Was it my birthday party or something?
I think so. We had the round light that spun and shot the different rays.
I'm getting so much secondhand embarrassment. It's not even secondhand because I was there. I'm feeling some sort of residual embarrassment by you telling that story. But yes, we did do that.
Mm-hmm.
No, embrace
the lights. All the lights were off. We had the light that do you remember the round light that fucking spun?
Yeah. Cool, man. So you had production at your first show. I'm fucking so impressed. Cool, man. Who was your front of house guy? Was Durkis there doing sound too? Cool, man.
He sure wasn't. To be fair,
one up me.
To be fair, back then Durkis would have been fucking 3.
Yeah, he was.
He wouldn't have been born.
Literal baby.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't born yet. Yeah.
That was 25 years ago.
Was it the ball with the multicolored light dots that spins
around?
Yeah.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
No, wait, that's like a $25 gag.
I think we got it from Spencer's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Boom.
It's definitely from Spencer's.
Well, we had the same life. Crazy.
So at what point did Rise come into the picture and pick up For the Fallen Dreams?
Man, it was literally a MySpace DM.
No shit.
Yeah, I remember the night it happened. Jim, so, you know, we both were living with our parents at the time. This was 2007. We were young as shit. I mean, 19, 18 years old. But I lived just like 3 minutes down the street from Jim. So I was just at his house every night. And we were just being idiots every night, hanging out, listening to bands. I remember we once like DM'd like A Day to Remember. Before it was before they got big. I remember MySpace DMing the Ghost Inside back then.
Crazy.
When I heard Faith or Forgiveness on their MySpace thing, I was like, you guys are sick. We kind of sound similar. And then someone messaged me back. I think it was Vigil. I think we talked about this. And it was him talking to me on MySpace before we saw each other, knew each other, played crazy. But it's all of that credit goes to Tony and American Me. The band It Prevails, not I Prevail. It Prevails and American Me.
Oh yeah, I remember that band.
They came through our local scene at a show we booked that we obviously played, and they came through. We hit it off with them very well. They're from Portland and very similar styles. All the bands sounded like a mix of Misery Signals, Bury Your Dead, and Acacia Strain. And we got along with them, and they were just like, you guys should hop on some of these other shows with us. Just come out. And we did. And we were like a local Michigan band, and we went and hung out with them, played a bunch of random shows with them. And then like Tony was just like, I'm going to talk to Craig from Rise. And like, just out of the blue one day, we have a DM from Rise, and it was Craig. And he's like, I really love your band, and I'd love to work with you. Let's make it happen. And I saw the DM, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, I remember we were like fucking jumping up and down, like the excitement of getting a label offered, like Rise. And they were like pretty up and coming label at the time. Like,
they were definitely like the new hot thing around then.
Yeah. For like Changes, that record, that was like the first wave. Like, cause right after that it was like Devil Wears Prada was the biggest band. And then like Asking Alexandria came, and like, so we were like right in between those, right? Look at that. It's a suggestive sign. We were right in between those two. And yeah, it was just like right when Rise was first starting to pop up. And then dude, for a while, they just like took over. And, but like, I love talking about this because that's such a fond memory of like, I can see me at his like parents' computer getting the DM with the Rise Records logo and just being like, is this fucking real?
Dude, that's like the thing that you dream about when you start a band.
And two nights later, we had one from Media Scare Records too, which is what TGI was on.
Media Scare.
Yeah. I was like, cool. As Blood Runs Black. Yeah. So we were like, well, definitely Rise. Rise fits us better. And they got our band going. They got us off the ground. Yeah, for sure.
Today's show is sponsored by Bestronix Pro Audio. Let's be real. Your rig is only as solid as the cables running through it. Whether you're touring the world or building out your dream setup at home, you need quality cables that won't let you down. That's where Bestronix Pro Audio comes in. BTPA specializes in full tour rig builds, custom cabling solutions, and if you're the hands-on DIY type, they've got bulk cable and connectors so you can wire up your own setup exactly how you want it. Everything they make is road-tested, built to last, and trusted by the pros. And because you're part of the Late for Load In crew, BTPA is giving you 10% off your order. Just use the code LFLI10 at checkout and save on the best cables in the business. So don't let bad cables kill your tone or ruin your set. Hit up btpa.com, lock in that discount, and keep your rig dialed and ready for the road. What's up, Road Crew? We want to take a second to tell you about an awesome program for music professionals called Sight for Sound from the team over at Nevin Eyewear. If you're out on the road, whether you're a touring musician, a crew member, or working at a venue, this is for you. Nevin is offering free prescription eyewear to the people who keep the music world spinning. We're talking high-quality frames, legit prescription lenses, and zero strings attached. Just solid gear to help you see clearly while you're out there doing what you do best.
Nevin was founded by John Strauss, a guy who came up in the metal and hardcore scene, so he knows exactly how tough and thankless this life can be. Sight for Sound is his way of giving back to the scene that shaped him, supporting the people behind the music with something as simple and vital as clear vision. As Chris and I know directly from working in the music industry for the majority of our adult lives, we know there are no benefits or retirement funds, so this support is vital. All you have to do is head over to nevineyewear.com, fill out a quick form, and if you qualify, your new glasses are on the house. That's it.
It's an awesome way to take care of the folks who take care of the music, so go check it out, and hopefully we'll see you out there on the road with perfect vision. We all know that music isn't just sound, it's connection, it's healing, it's everything when you're feeling lost. That's why Late for Load-In is partnering with Heart Support, the nonprofit founded by Jake Lurs of August Burns Red to bring real, free peer support straight to you.
Are you feeling down and need someone to talk to? Just text Late for Load-In to 1-512-647-2871 and get connected with someone who understands. Someone who gets how music pulls us through the hardest times. It's totally free, totally judgment-free, and 100% about supporting you through the music we love.
And if you're in a good place right now, you can be part of healing the scene. Heart Support is looking for volunteer repliers, fans like you who want to help others through the power of music. You'll be trained to support fellow fans who are struggling and join a community built on connection, mental health, and the music that keeps us going.
And again, if you need support, text Late for Load-In to the number 1-512-647-2871. If you want to be support, sign up at heartsupport.com/volunteer. Together, we're making this scene stronger.
Today's episode is brought to you by you, our incredible listeners and patrons over at patreon.com/LFLIpod. By joining, you'll get early access to episodes, exclusive monthly giveaways featuring rare memorabilia from Josh and I's time on the road, and access to our patron-only music review and reaction live streams. But that's not all. You'll also get into the Late for Load-In Road Crew Discord, where you can connect with fellow fans, submit guest requests, and drop your questions for the show. The best part? It's just $1 a month. If you love what we're doing and want to help keep the show rolling, head over to patreon.com/LFLIpod and join the road crew today. Now, back to the show. And spinning off of that, so you guys also, like you brought up changes, you guys worked with Joey Sturgis on the first two Rise releases, and he was also just starting to like really take over as like, you know, the hotshot superstar producer of that era. He like really kind of really changed the way that our genre of music was produced and mixed and all that stuff. What was it like working with him in the early days of his career?
Yeah, it definitely was right, because Changes, we recorded that with Joey in his first. His studio was in a garage. I think he was renting the garage as a space from somebody else in Connorsville, Indiana. And we like drove from Lansing there. It just took like 2 hours, hour and a half, something like that. We had like a bunch of material ready, and we get there and he wanted to program the drums for Changes. And I was like, interesting. Only reason I was fine with it is because I had been dabbling in that myself using Fruity Loops for years. Since I was in like the 10th or 11th grade, I was learning programming drums. So I was like, sure, cool, I can focus on the riffs, because I was sort of like the main riffer, the main guitar writer for the Fallen Dreams. And I was like, cool, well, I can focus up more on that, and like drums will just be taken care of. And he literally, I played that on like this. Like I would play the kick and the cymbals, and then he would quantize it and all that on a keyboard. So that was interesting. It was the first time ever doing that for like and it was the band's first like big deal. Like, this is going to be a professionally mixed, mastered record, an actual production that it's going to, and it's, I'm not even performing drums. And I was like, weirdly okay with it. And we worked so insanely well with Joey. But the second record I did with him, Relentless, I performed the drums on. And both times he's such a like Midwest dude. And we just instantly got together. Like, it all clicked, made sense. We worked very, very fast together, and it was an absolute pleasure. And I'll never forget those days of just like making bologna sandwiches in Joey's garage studio, and like sleeping at a really shitty motel across the street, and just like getting to be with my buddies and have this excitement of making like, at the time it was like such a big deal. You know, we had only done the fucking Shure SM7B draping over a heating vent production before that. So it was awesome working with Joey. And then like after that and after Relentless, like he took off as like the industry standard of like, this is the metalcore drum sound you want. This is the guitar tone. You use a Pod Farm XT Pro. This is how it works. Like, and he just fucking took over. Yeah.
What was the difference in records and why you programmed drums on one and played them live on the other?
Yeah, I think after Changes had been out, I think I was just hungry to want to actually play the drums this time. And he was like, "Sure,
Okay.
I got you." So it
Yeah,
was just
cool. That's cool.
every single show was D drum triggered up, and I did Relentless in 7.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and but I mean, Joey is also just a freak of nature. So I would finish like a take, and he'd be like, "Okay, done. Next part."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I don't have to do anything else." He's like, "No, you're good." And he would, and it was, yeah, he's a maniac.
Yeah, he's a freak.
So
He's a genius.
Yep.
at what point then did you decide to leave For the Fallen Dreams and join the Ghost Inside? Or was it even an immediate thing, or did you like how did that happen?
Yeah, I actually during Relentless, there's another band at the time that was a lot bigger that had approached me to join their band, and I was like, nah, I can't do that. I can't leave my guys. And we were in the middle of recording, and I was like, I want to make our band work, and I want to tour off this music that I'm excited. We've just made this record that I fucking love. I want to go play these songs. Like, nah, I'm sorry, man. So that was 2009 or 2000.
Can you
Yeah.
say what band that was?
Ah. Nah.
Nah, okay.
Nah, I'll
That's
tell
cool.
you after. I'll tell you after.
All right. Okay.
And then
Okay.
yeah. And so we finished that record, and then that came out in summer of 2009, and that was the era of like the big old like Sumerian Records Ash style tours where there's like 13 bands on a bill. We did that Thrash and Burn one on the record release of Relentless, and yeah, like went out there, toured the record, and then I just hit a point in the band where I was just going down a different path, I think, than some of the other guys. There were like some minor personal issues at the time. We were young little shits. We were all little assholes, man.
Yeah.
I hit a point where I got really unhappy, and I decided I was going to leave the band, and like no matter what, I had no backup plan. I was like, I might be bagging groceries at Meijer. Like I don't know. I really was prepared to quit and leave. And we did a tour at the end of 2010 in Europe with Lower Than Atlantis, Suffocate, and Ghost Inside for the Fallen Dreams direct support to Ghost Inside. And it turned out that shortly after that tour, they needed a drummer. I noticed they had a fill-in on that one, and they needed a drummer. And I was like, I'd come rip with you guys for a minute and just see how it goes. Like, what if that turns into something cool? I already know them. Like, we had for the Fallen Dreams and Ghost Inside have had toured together like 2 or 3 times before that in the US. So I already knew the dudes. I knew Zach from Too Pure to Die like way back 2006.
Yeah, sure.
I knew Ghost Inside. We did a tour in 2008 together. We did a tour in 2010, one in 2009, something like that. So I was like, it'll be easy to like. It's not like I have to worry about like getting along with these new dudes. Like they're my boys. So they gave me a call. There was this one point I was sitting at home playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, like 3 a.m. at my parents' house, like depressed because I knew I was like, I might be done. This might be the end of music for me. What am I going to do? And literally in the middle of the night, Aaron called me from Japan, Aaron from Ghost Inside, and was like, hey, I think we're going to take you on tour. And I was like, whoa, holy shit. Okay. And then, yeah, that's the rest. The rest is history. Yeah. So went on tour with Ghost Inside, and they won't tell you this, but I was in the band immediately, and I know it. Hey, I know my worth, and I know that I'm a fun time. So right away, and it was crazy too because I really felt like I did actually make the right decision. When I had other people like be like, man, I'm glad you decided to keep going and play in this band. Like you should be doing this. And at the end of the tour, like that was the first time ever I had made $1 from playing music, and I went, and it was like, to me at the time, I'll tell you, it was $1,500, and I felt like a millionaire. I went, what? Like I was like, holy fuck. I just made money doing that. And I I had a refreshing, great time. Like, holy shit. It completely changed the game for me. And I knew that at that time I made the right choice.
Without throwing shade at Texas, because I would never take anything away from the time that I was in that band actively like trying to make that our career. But like I had a very similar experience on my first tour out with you guys, even as a fill-in, where it was like, Texas became pretty stressful for the last year and a half. And and like we never really made money. Like if we did, it would be like $100,
Yeah.
$300. You know, like it was nothing that made a difference really. Like it didn't make a dent in anything. And coming out with you guys for the first time just as a fill-in and like being like, I get to just come here and like have fun. Oh, and I actually made a reasonable amount of money at the end of the tour. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
I was almost starting to believe that you couldn't do such a thing.
Same.
So I had a very similar experience my first tour with the band.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even when I tell people now, like when I first started with Motionless, my first tour I didn't get paid, and my second tour after that was $100 a week, and I was like fucking thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, God
Dude,
damn.
I probably did multiple tours where I came home and didn't make money other than per diems on the tour.
But it wasn't for too though. At that time period, it wasn't about that either. It was about it was about getting out there and doing it and learning and just being with our friends, you know. But money is also great. I remember my wife now, she was going through a breakup with her ex at the time, and I remember he moved out of their place and took the bed, and she at that point had a 2-year-old, like, but you took the fucking bed, man. So I was able to, at that point, I was able to afford to buy her a mattress, and it was like this crazy. I was like, "Fuck yeah, I made it." You know what I mean? Like I bought her a mattress. It was like a $400 mattress, whatever the fuck it was. But at that point, that was
that's huge though.
That was a big purchase, and I felt so satisfied that I was able to step up at that time and buy her a mattress that they could go to sleep on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was crazy. I don't remember where I was going with that part of the story, but yeah, it was money is cool.
Money is cool, but I agree. Like it's not what it was about back then either. Like I have a very soft spot about those eating shit days where you're like, you mentioned sleeping in a shitty motel across the street from Joey's place and like eating bologna sandwiches and like, you know, being on tour and sleeping in fucking Walmart parking lots. Like
who cares? We didn't care.
I still, absolutely. Back then that didn't matter to me. Like that was, I had already made it in my own mind, you know, living through scenarios like that. I loved it. And I do think that it like was a huge part of shaping who I am today.
I was about to say the same thing. I would not be who I am today without those experiences. No way, no how, no chance.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing just like taught us to like fend for ourselves better.
Yeah,
It taught us valuable lessons for sure. I just, it hit a point where I was starting to, you know, getting into my early 20s. I started going, I can't do this and literally not like. There's bills that you have to like.
Right.
I have to support I'm not going to live with my parents forever. I don't want to do that. Like, I have to do something different. And that's, I did hit that point where I had to make the decision. It made it easier just when there was just personal differences within the band, made it very obvious that I needed to leave for both the reasons combined. And obviously like zero shade at all to my guys. Like I still talk to all of them. They're still my boys, and I wouldn't trade any of those years and experiences with those guys for anything. Like, Stomping Grounds made me who I am today without a doubt. Like I love them all. When we've all set any and all bullshit aside, we've all grown up, and you know, I'm so thankful for those years and getting to experience the things I did in those bologna sandwich dingy motel ways. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't trade it for the world, man. Like we got to. It's a pretty unique lifestyle to do that, and some people will be like, that's, you know, like a lot of people think that our rock star life is like glitz and glamour, but it's not all the time.
No.
And I was fine with roughing it. I didn't care. I just wanted to do cool shit and make good music and play shows. That was all.
Would you go back and do it? Would you go back and do it again right now, tomorrow?
With the person I am right now, not a chance. Not a chance.
Not a chance.
And that's because, you know, I'm old enough to be that Andrew's dad now. I've grown too much. My body's broken and bruised and beat, and I can't do the band. I literally physically don't think I could anymore. I have to have like comfort, you know.
It's crazy. I have been having this weird complex of going to shows and looking around, and I'm like, I'm the old guy.
Yeah,
I'm that old guy.
That's really
like I remember when I was younger and hearing like that guy's 40. Oh, he's old.
Yeah,
I got news for y'all. I'm knocking on 40's door here pretty soon.
Sure are.
I got one more year after this one, and I'm right there at the Big 4-0. But I will tell you that I was having a conversation a couple weeks ago, and a guy told me that he had some of his best years and made the most money in his entire life in his 40s.
So there's still a chance.
I'm coming to. I'm on my way to 40 with a vengeance.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
Dive in, baby.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And two, I wanted to go back for 1 second because I was thinking about this, and money never really was a thing until money was a thing. Like, because back then we didn't know really we could do this and make money. And then you started realizing, okay, these promoters are starting to pay, and this can actually become a legitimate business. And we can now afford to have money be a part of our lives.
Doing what we love. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in the early days, there was no knowledge of it. It was just like, cool,
No.
do we have enough money to pay for gas to get to this show? Great, we'll figure out how to eat. We'll go in this gas station here and steal whatever we need to make sure that we're full if that's what we got to do to eat.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, dude, my first support tour with Texas, I brought this up on maybe Telly's episode, but like we're getting paid $100 a night.
Yeah.
And that was our first support tour ever. And, to me, I was like, well, that's just normal, like that's what bands
Absolutely.
get paid.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, We Came as Romans, who's headlining the tour, is probably getting paid, somewhere in the 5 figures range. But in my mind, like bands don't get paid that much money,
Right.
not metalcore bands.
Right.
It wasn't even on my radar that I should even think that we could get to that point,
Shit, back then, I don't know if they even were making as much money as we think they were.
No,
I mean,
probably
I don't
not.
know, though. You never know. I mean, when I first started Emotionless, I was collecting $150 a night.
Yeah.
I remember that. I think actually me and Andrew met in 2011 on All Stars tour
Yeah, absolutely.
for the first time.
Yep.
Do you remember the show at Myrtle Beach when you guys dressed up as Motionless and they all wore the Hawaiian shirts?
So awesome. Yeah, because Ghost Inside did Hawaiian Fridays on that. I don't know who started it,
Yeah.
but we decided to be like funny and quirky if the band literally dressed up in like Hawaiian shirts and swim trunks and sunglasses with flip-flops every Friday of the tour. And we did it every Friday. We played in it even. It was fucking, I think we played in it.
None of that is shocking
Yeah.
to me. All of that is very on brand.
Let me ask a question that I've actually never asked anybody in the Ghost Inside, and I'm actually genuinely curious about this. What was it about the Motionless dudes that you guys took to? Because they were kind of the band that, Chris was wearing, I think was that the tour he was wearing a skirt on stage, and like they were always the outcast of bands, but you guys for some reason paid zero attention to that and did not care at all, and you guys took to them like they were just normal everyday people.
I think because they were to us. Like we were also outcasts in our own right. I think all of us, even in our upbringings before bands and everything, felt that way. We never judged them. I might be a little biased. I like horror movies, so I thought they always looked cool. I was always like,
I was also saying
Yeah.
you're asking the new metal guy
That's true.
too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I played with. Were you working with them in like 2007 or 8? Because Motionless
No,
played.
not that early.
Yeah, we played Eleanor Rigby's in
Oh, sure.
Pennsylvania, and Motionless was on it.
It's Scranton, right?
Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, one of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
I think it's Scranton.
And it was like they had a stage. Texas played is the first time I ever saw Adam play drums. There was an outdoor stage and an indoor, and it was like Texas played, Motionless played for the Fallen Dreams, Bayside headlined. I forget what it was called, but that's the first time I had seen them. And I didn't even know their name at that point. I was just like, oh, cool. They're like a goth metalcore band. I always, from day one, was like, I fuck with it. I like it.
Yeah.
Then got to know them. All Stars was the first one. Just hit it off. I don't know why. I think that they like dorky humor, and we went up and like immediately were just like idiots to them, and they responded, and we're like, that's our people right there. Like, always loved them. And then we hung out with them here and like talked about riffs and just like bullshitted. And then one day, we were just like, we should trade. You guys should wear the fucking Hawaiian shit and you guys dress us up as you. Angelo was the drummer at the time. Like he like did my makeup. I took my American Apparel black hoodie and cut the sleeves off, and like it was so fun.
There's a picture somewhere.
So
I'm
good.
not gonna lie, as funny as it would be to see all the TGI guys in the whole like Motionless get up, I
You
think
haven't
it's
seen this?
No, I think it's 10 times funnier to think about like Chris Motionless on stage in a Hawaiian shirt.
He was.
I can't wait to see the pictures.
Dude,
It was at Myrtle Beach House of
It
Blues,
was Myrtle
right?
Beach House of Blues. They definitely lost on the deal. We got to look cool, And they got to have like jet black, long hair, pale skin, but they had to look like they're wearing like Tommy Bahama shit.
I love it.
It
I
was
love it. I can't wait
great.
to see
People
it.
were probably like, "This isn't motionless and white."
It's motionless and white
it
from
was.
wish.com.
And you know what, too? It took no convincing. That's how you knew they were our people, because they instantly were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Let's go." Easy,
Yeah,
easy,
that's
easy
awesome.
yes from them.
It was awesome. It was cool.
Yep.
I wore a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
I'm in the picture, I think.
You definitely are.
It was
Yeah,
awesome.
but you're not on stage. That's not a big deal.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't take a hit for
I
the
just
team.
was a part of the culture, man. I didn't give a fuck.
fair.
I was
love
a
it.
part of the team.
Oh, yeah.
I
I'll
was
give you
down
that.
for the cause. I was actually going to ask if you ever considered doing any stand-up comedy, because I think you would be great at it. Well, maybe now you should sit down, but, you know.
Maybe you should be the comedian.
Zing.
Yeah, you might want to get up there open mic night. Yeah,
I don't know about that.
yeah. I think stand up is. I think that I'm decent at like ad libbing off the cuff, and I feel like with stand up, it's really hard to be good at ad libbing off the cuff. You have to like kind of write material like you write a riff for comedy,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, people have to think it's funny, and that's stand up comedy sounds so fucking hard, and I'm
I feel
terrified to do.
I feel like you're a skit guy.
I'm a skits guy.
I feel like I think you should leave is your brand. Like if you had a show, that's what it would be. It would just be that show.
Yes,
That's just you.
skits and
It's just
skits and bits.
Yeah,
Skits,
skits and
that's
bits.
it. Yeah, stand up would be fun. Maybe one day. It is a bucket list thing I would like to do, but
Is it?
it seems.
So you've thought about it?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
I haven't pulled the trigger because I'm a giant pussy. So. It's so scary. It's scary to think about having to write something and then bomb. But I have a few stand-up comedian friends, and they say you have to bomb. You have to bomb to do it.
Yeah, but what's so scary about it? I mean, is it just because all of the attention is on you?
Yeah.
I mean, because you've played shows probably in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah, but I got
So it can't be that.
I got my guys up there with me. Like when
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah, so you have
stand-up,
cushion.
you
So
have a
when you bomb,
literal,
you can have someone to fall on.
Yeah, exactly. You have a literal stand-up comedian. You're up there alone. You have a spotlight glaring on you, and people just waiting, going, "Make me laugh."
It's
Yeah.
Like
it's also like I don't know, Andy, if you feel this way or not, but I also feel like playing. I don't get nervous to walk out to like a festival show of like 40,000 people, but I am more likely to get nerves walking out into a venue of like 100 people. Like something about playing to a smaller crowd is way more nerve-wracking to me than playing to the larger crowd. So I could see these comedy clubs are pretty tiny, right?
Yeah.
So it's only like, 50 people, whatever. And you're the only person on stage, and the only thing that you have as your like comfort blanket is your words. And if those words don't work, holy shit.
Yeah.
Get me out of
Yeah.
there. You couldn't pay me to do stand up.
And even if you think you're funny and all of your buddies think you're funny and are like, you should do stand up, like complete strangers might think you suck.
Yep.
That is a what if and a maybe, but like it's enough to make me not do it yet. It's a scary thought, but I legit would like to do like or try like acting or comedy, sketch stuff like that. I think I would be good at that. Confidently, like
I think you would too.
I think I could do something like that for sure.
I think you would crush like voiceover too, like voice acting.
Oh,
for
yeah.
stuff.
That would
I think
be
you would crush that too.
I would love to do
That
that.
would be really awesome.
Yeah.
If you got to do like voiceover in like a one of those like Pixar type of movies,
It'd be so sick. I would love to do that.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that
That'd
would
be
be-
really
I feel
cool.
like you would crush that.
That would be fun. I've heard that's a tricky one to get into, like industry wise. Like
I've heard that too.
Yeah. I just gotta meet someone. I gotta go rub elbows with somebody.
Yeah.
Figure out who
Rub nubs.
rub nubs with someone. See what happens. See if I can get a Buzz Lightyear 2 out of it or whatever. I don't know.
Hey, at what point did, of all people, you decide to bring Christopher Davis into the Ghost Inside? In my opinion, he's probably the last candidate
Jesus Christ.
on the face of the earth. But hey, what do I know?
Not a lot, clearly.
Well, we hit a point where we needed a guitar player.
He was the last guy on the list, so we called him.
We hit rock bottom. We go, what the fuck are we gonna do? We go, I guess Chris
Yeah.
Davis. Cool. Well,
That's about that's about how I figured the conversation.
Yeah,
would have
that's
went.
pretty much it.
Why would it go any other way?
We were like,
That's actually true.
fine, whatever. And then now we're stuck with him. So,
Yeah, yeah.
no, for real. Jim, I remember was the one who was like, what about Chris? And we had toured with Texas. Was it a year or two prior?
We would have done that tour end of
2013.
2013, and so you guys called me at the beginning of 2015. We toured together about a year before Aaron left the band.
I think we put the bug in your ear at the end of 2014 when we were at Soundstage with Every Time I Die.
I think I did some reverse psychology because I put the bug in your ear.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I'm just going to say that Texas is probably breaking up next year. So if you need somebody,
he knew
I've
what
got
he was
time.
up to.
I knew what I was doing.
I like that. All I remember is you came up and we all went, oh, no brainer. Absolutely. Shreds. He'll make our band better. And all of that came true. It just made sense. It just made sense.
Oh, that's not true. Go ahead. Keep telling me more. Keep telling me more. I'm kidding.
He and I were actually supposed to do our very first tour together ever
with you guys,
with the Ghost Inside when the whole Of Mice and Men Motionless thing was supposed to happen.
That's right.
And then you guys went on Locals Only instead because I guess agents and management couldn't make the.
Yeah, I want to throw a correction out too because we talked about this on the Balls episode, and I had completely forgotten about that tour, like literally completely.
I could tell by your response. Oh, yeah, that's right.
It fully blew my mind because I hadn't thought about that in forever.
So what's the correction though? Let's get to the correction.
The correction is that he, God damn you, that he said that we wanted to do a different tour, and that's not true.
Yeah, I don't know what ended up happening.
I know what ended up happening is there was no budget for the budget. Obviously shrunk when Of Mice went away.
But who was supposed to be on the Of Mice tour originally?
It was supposed to be Of Mice, Motionless, or I think it was Of Mice, Prada, Motionless, us, Ghost Inside. And then when Of Mice went away, the original idea was that maybe Motionless could take Prada and us. But I think because of the tour downsizing a little bit because of not having...
So there was no budget available for the Ghost Inside.
Exactly. And so that's why we said...
got fucked.
We either don't go on tour or we go do this Locals Only thing. And so we went and did the Locals Only thing. And we did try to put our own tour together.
It was a cool concept, though.
Yeah, I do think the concept was really cool. And before that, we did try to find some other bands that were available. But just like for such a last minute thing, we couldn't find bands. So we're like, fuck it. Let's go give these, these bands who build up these scenes, and then all these touring bands come through and like take advantage of that by playing in these scenes these local bands are propping up. Let's go play a cool show with them. So
I thought the concept was super cool.
Yeah,
I remember the artwork. I remember all of it. I thought it was cool.
We didn't want to go do a different tour. We wanted to tour with Motionless. It logistically and financially wasn't a possibility, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so that's how we ended up there.
I remember when I was watching that podcast and he said that, I was sitting here going, that's not true. Like, why would we not have wanted to do it? We were going to do it. We wanted to do it. It came down to like we would like lose money or something, or it was going to hurt.
I think that they couldn't get enough money from promoters to pay us and Prada. Since Prada was billed higher on the original lineup, they just took them
and
first.
Everything with the original.
It was a co-headliner.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
And
then maybe they just, I don't know.
Everything with the original tour like got canceled right away, like so suddenly that we went, whoa, we might not have anything to do for like 6 months or 4 months or something. And we go, shit, what do we do? We all have bills at this point. This was right before the accident. We all kind of like were moved out and like supporting ourselves. And we're like, we have to figure out a way to like do something so we don't have to go find jobs. Like we don't want.
Right.
So it definitely came down to that. I remember hearing that too, being like, there was never a point where we were like, no, we don't want to do that. We definitely wanted to.
When he said that on the episode, I was still kind of like mind blown by the revelation that when I was editing the episode, I went, wait a second, that's not how that happened.
Fuck you, Balls.
Yeah.
Damn it, Balls. Send me Parlor and then I'll forgive you.
He's been supposed to send it for months. He won't send it. He's a cheap bastard.
I sent him one of my synthwave tracks too to sing. After I was watching that episode with you, I was like, I'm gonna send. I was watching the episode and I go, I'm gonna send him the latest one that I did. And
nice.
Yeah. So
did he sing on it yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
You'll get that when you get your Parlor,
sir.
Son of a bitch. So we did you guys did the Locals Only thing. Let's talk about the accident. You played
the what now?
The accident.
I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
IDENT. What the show is in El Paso, the last one?
Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock, at Jake's.
Yep.
Sure was.
What are you? So I guess this is actually for both of you. What do you remember of the accident?
I remember quite a bit, actually.
You do.
I woke up literally split second before the impact. So I remember a lot of it, and I was one of the last people up on the bus when our driver got there. So I was like up super late.
I don't know that I've ever even actually had this conversation. So this is kind of wild.
Yeah. I was up late. We had been doing this marathon where we were watching all of the Star Wars movies because we were supposed to go to Australia also with Motionless.
Yeah.
2 weeks after that tour was supposed to end. And while we were going to be in Australia is when Force Awakens was supposed to come out, I believe. And so we were marathoning through all of the Star Wars movies. And that night we all stayed up, watched a Star Wars movie together. And me and Vigil's friend Armin were still up in the front lounge hanging out. Driver got on the bus, and I was like, oh, fuck, that must mean it's super late. Went to bed, and then everything was normal. And then all of a sudden, I felt and anybody who's touring a bus knows the feeling of like the bus slamming on the brakes. It always jolts you awake for a second, and you go right back to sleep. And that's normally when like somebody's cutting off the bus or something, right? But I could tell instantly with how aggressive the braking was that I was like, this is not that. This is something else. But I literally, my eyes opened, and then, bam! Like I woke up, bam, and then so I remember everything from that point. Like I was conscious for all of it. Like I remember all of it. And I think it's probably different for you, Andy. Right?
That's insane. Yeah, I mean a little bit. I do remember quite a bit. I remember my night before. Probably had a few beers with the boys. I remember me being me. I was being loud and doing some noise or whatever. I remember Jim coming up from the back going, it's fucking 3 a.m, dude. Like in dad mode. I'm just like, like whatever, And then from then on, I remember getting my bunk going, all right, I should just go to bed. I don't know what time it was, but it was late enough. The only thing I remember, that was the last thing I remember of life as I knew it, actually, is that interaction and then going to lay down, because the next thing I remember was feeling the bus. And to me, it just felt like when you're on a public transportation bus and you're like looking down on your phone and you just kind of feel it go like this. You know what I mean? You just kind of feel it like rock and bump. I was asleep, but I felt it felt not crazy to me at the time. Like it just felt like we were kind of swerving, and I heard a really loud sound. So it felt like minimal shaking and a loud bang. Then I woke up, I don't know how long later, I was in the rubble. I was like in pieces of chunks of wood and sharp metal wires from the bus, because there was a full on like functioning studio on our bus that that was on there, and I was seeing like cables and wires like just dangling.
What bunk were you in?
I was there was 2 condo bunks on driver's side front. So very front top condo. So there's 1 condo, 2 condo. Then the rest was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I was the very first top condo on driver's side. Yep.
Yeah, so all those wires would have been running above you anyway.
Well, yeah. And I think it just, I mean, the bus got so obliterated that, like, I mean, I think we all ended up in just like, it was like taking fucking Yahtzee dice in a cup and just throwing it. We all just ended up fucking anywhere. Like, I just remember waking up and like I was like, it was morning, I could tell, but I was just like, so dazed, and I was like, for a second thought I was dreaming still, but then I was like, I was hearing some screaming. I distinctly remember hearing Zach and Armin screaming.
Same.
And all I could smell was diesel fuel, and I'm just laying there, like there's just like sharp wood like digging into my hip and my back, and I'm just like, what the fuck? There's no way this is actually happening. I'm fucking dreaming. And then like I came to, and I just kept hearing it. And I remember being kind of touch and go, like in and out. Like I would wake back up and go. And I had one moment where I go, oh, we actually got in a fucking accident. This is really happening. This is a nightmare that's actually happening. And ironically enough, when I was in For the Fallen Dreams, we were on tour with The Ghost Inside. in 2008 and Bury Your Dead. We were all caravanning in Ottawa, Canada, and it was Bury Your Dead, For the Fallen Dreams, Ghost Inside, all in a line in that order. And I woke up to someone screaming because Bury Your Dead's van flipped, and we all watched Bury Your Dead.
I remember that.
We watched them flip their van. They got really hurt. And I remember literally, like, it's so fucking weird that like almost foreshadowed what happened to us in a way, because like I remember running up to Mark, their drummer, Mark Castillo, and he was like in the median laying on his back. He had blood all over him, and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you alive, Mark? Like are you all right?" He's like, "This is fucking annoying, dude. I'm just gonna wait to get to the hospital." And I was like, "Whoa, he's like fucking insanely calm right now. Like, that's crazy."
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
literally fucking thought, I don't think I've ever told this to Mark. I literally thought about that in the accident in the moment. I literally thought about Mark going, "This is annoying. I'm just going to wait to get to the hospital." And right then and there, I go, "Well, I just need to," something just goes, "Just breathe in through your nose, not your mouth. Just don't panic. Don't pass out. Don't have a heart attack from this. Like, just breathe, drown out the noise of the screaming. It happened. Accept it. Just breathe until you get to a hospital." I thought about that
Right.
in the moment. There was one point where I like kind of like looked down and I saw my right leg. I saw my heel, like where your toes should be on my foot. And I just looked away and I went, "Fuck." Like, that's legs broken.
You didn't feel
Not
pain
a
at
fucking
that
thing.
point?
Not an inkling of pain. Nothing.
That's
Thank God
crazy.
for adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's crazy.
Nothing. I remember someone in one of the podcasts had said that they heard me say I can't feel my leg, but I almost think that someone else said that. I don't think that was me.
I heard Tony say that.
I wasn't me, because I went into a fucking zen somehow.
Yeah.
What told me to do that? I don't know. I just laid there and breathe. I was breathing for what felt like not that long to me. I found out it was over 2 hours we were laying there.
Oh yeah, we were there for a
Wow.
while.
There was one point where, and it was probably because I did end up, I think what happened with like the whole lights out, hearing a bang, waking up in it, is I did hit my head. I had a TBI where my doctor said I was probably knocked unconscious for like 30 minutes or something. I don't know if I was in like the in and out of it thing. There was a point, I swear to God, this was at a point where I could tell people were showing up. People were trying to, you could hear commotion, help. You could hear first responders. I remember Timmy coming up, pouring water and like just to keep me going. I remember seeing people. I swear to God, I heard someone and like I'll walk by and go, "Yeah, Chris is dead." I have a memory of hearing that.
What's so nuts is because I was at the back of the bus, and normally, for people who don't know, in a normal bus, you've got bunk alley where all of your bunks are together.
Right.
But this was a bus that had been, like Andrew said, retrofitted to have a studio in it. So this only had like bunk alley was normally really short in this bus, and it only had 5 bunks in it. And then the back of the bus had been converted to be the studio. So what they did for us is they built in 3 extra bunks, like literally just built it in out of like 2x4s for that tour. And the back bench of what would be the bench in the back lounge, they had made a bed, and that's where Jim was sleeping. But so I was in that back, and there was a door separating bunk alley from the studio portion, and I could, like Andrew said, I could hear people yelling and screaming, and like I remember specifically hearing Zach, and I remember hearing this. It's not funny, but it is funny. It's not funny, but I'm gonna laugh about it. But
just think about what Andrew's dad said.
I laugh when things suck.
Oh, sure. Well, this is funny, but I remember hearing Armin yelling for Jim to tour manage the bus off of him. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Armin lost toes that day, and he's saying that?
He said, Jimmy, come tour manage the bus off of me. Yes. So I remember hearing that, but I remember hearing everybody in the front half of the bus, and I remember hearing the guys who were in the back half of the bus, which is me, Timmy, Danny, Tony, and Jim. Like all of us in the back had been accounted for. The only 2 people that I didn't hear make a single sound were Andrew and Vigil. And so I thought, because of being stuck back there, that you guys had died. So it's crazy that you had thought you heard someone say that I died.
Yeah.
That's really wild.
Distinctly heard, yeah, Chris is dead. And like, I'm wondering too, if like, did they think that from what they saw on scene that like, that was you? and they didn't know you had made it out. Whatever it is, like I was laying there for a minute thinking you didn't make it, and just
crazy.
trying to breathe my way through it. And I had
Crazy.
a horrific realization that one of my fucking buddies just died, and he's behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen, but that's really fucked up. And I just like so much adrenaline and so much just chaos and confusion going on that I
Yep.
just forced myself to focus on breathing and getting to safety. I remember I'm a big boy, man. I'm 6'4", 250. Like, you know, it took a lot of people to get me. Because I think we were almost on a hill at this point. We were like, there was like a little bit of a slope.
There was a slope. The truck was under us. That's what it was. The truck had
my God, yeah.
hit and then like gotten wedged under. So the bus was kind of laying tilted towards the driver's side.
Because I remember,
or no, tilted towards the passenger side. I'm sorry.
There was probably 7 to 10 different people carrying me, and I felt the gravity like going down a hill, like on a backboard on one of those big ones. And then I just remember being put into a chopper like a fucking. It felt my memory of it is like it felt like a fucking war movie where like that chopper's going and she just goes, "You're gonna be fine. You're gonna make it." Put the mask on me. I felt it lift up and lights out, and I was in a medically induced coma for 10 days. Woke up in the hospital. It took me a minute to come off they put you on some crazy shit to go into a coma. You know, they bring you down.
They give you the good shit.
Yeah, they bring you down to almost death, basically. So it took a second to wear off, but once I like knew where I was in the hospital, I saw my parents. I was like, that was not a dream. That happened. I found out like when I was more coherent a few days later that I lost the leg and from above the knee. So I was kind of like sitting there hanging out, talking to people for like a day or two, like without a leg.
Didn't even
not
know.
knowing it. I didn't have a leg down there.
So you never felt pain this entire time?
No, I don't remember feeling pain at all.
Even afterwards?
Oh, afterwards.
Like once you learned the leg was gone, did they keep you to the point where there was no pain, or did you ever feel pain from it?
Yeah, once they performed the surgery, and I had multiple surgeries too, because I mean they put me on a backboard, and I'm glad they did because I had a spinal fracture that was about your pinky's width from becoming a quadriplegic. If it would have been that much more of my spinal column off to the side, that much more, I would have been unusable.
Paralyzed.
Yeah, yep. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, very lucky, but the pain definitely was there. Like once I came out of the coma. They had already done a spinal fusion. They'd already done the amputation. They bring me out of it. And then they got to bring you off it a little bit and start to do some physical therapy. So, I mean, pain would hit and they would just morphine me or fentanyl me. And I would go to outer space and feel like I was floating. Literally, like they would go and pain go away. Quite literally.
Dude, mine's obviously not nearly as severe as what you went through, but when I woke up from my surgery where they fused my midfoot and they basically put my foot back together, when I first woke up in the recovery room, I felt no pain because obviously they do a nerve block when they do the surgery, right? And so I was like, no, I'm totally fine. I don't need any extra stuff right now. Like I'm good, actually, I think. And then I fell asleep and woke up a couple hours later still to this day, and hopefully I never experienced pain like this, but pain worse than I've ever felt in my entire life. Like fucking 20 out of 10 pain, like earth-shattering pain. And they came in and gave me a push of Dilaudid, and less than a second after that, I went, never felt better in my life. It's crazy how powerful that shit is. And it thank God that I like have never been somebody to like want to fuck around with like drugs and shit like that. Cause like after all of the surgeries and stuff from the accident and the medication they give you to help with the pain and all that, like I can fully understand how people end up addicted to that shit. Cause it is crazy.
It's quite
how good it can make you feel.
It's euphoric. Yeah, it's
and it's terrifying almost.
Yeah, it is. I have memories of the drug and how I felt and what it looked like.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I have memories of me hovering above my own body, looking at me in the hospital bed from this drug, from fentanyl and morphine, Dilaudid.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I felt like my body was literally like floating up to the ceiling like this, and I have a memory of me looking down at myself in my hospital bed and my nurse like in her chair, like filling out paperwork. I have memories
That's
of a
wild.
parade that happened out in the hallway, like a fucking circus parade while I was watching Twilight. Like that never happened. I have crazy
He
fucked
said,
up
"Oh,
dude, absolutely insane. Like he said, I see why people get hooked on that shit. It's terrifying. And it's
how long overall were you in the hospital?"
2 months in the hospital. It was a month in El Paso, and then they Learjet flew me to Grand Rapids to one of the most renowned physical therapy facilities in the U.S. It's called Mary Freebed Rehabilitation Hospital. It's part of St. Mary's there in Grand Rapids, and it is wow. I owe so much to them. That's a good place. That's a good place. So it was a month in El Paso and a month there in Grand Rapids. Spent Christmas of 2015 there. I got discharged from Grand Rapids right at the end, like January, like 29th, I want to say, of 2016. Made it home right there, beginning of February. I had an allergic reaction to an antibiotic, an intravenous antibiotic that sent me back to the hospital for another week because I thought I was going to die in my sleep. I had a lot of crazy allergies. There was a point in the hospital. My mom was a nurse for a few years when she was in her 20s, and there was this one point I was in ICU. This was, a few weeks after surgery and all that up in El Paso. I was still in ICU though, being closely monitored because there were so many points that there was things going wrong. And I was up there at one point, and my mom was up there looking at something, and she called in a nurse, and she said, "Why is his white blood cells are like insanely low? Like something's wrong." And I guess that this nurse said there wasn't anything wrong or something like that. And my mom was like, "Get a doctor in here right fucking now. Stop fucking around. Get him in." Like she was so serious. And they came in and went,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, this is serious." And they found out that I was allergic to heparin. I had something called HIT, heparin-induced thrombocytopenia, where heparin is a anti-blood clotting medicine. And I am part of 1 or 2% of the population of the planet that it makes you clot more. So if my mom hadn't have said, "Go get a fucking doctor," I could have died that night. Weeks later.
Yeah,
That's
it could have like
insane.
thrown a clot.
Blood clot
and
could have
fucking,
traveled
gone
to my
your brain
brain
or something.
And they took me off it, and I had to go do more shit, and I made it through that. Yeah. And they had to put me on a different thinner, and it was just fucking crazy. It was months in the hospital.
It's crazy because they make all these crazy drugs, but if you don't have a reason to test them, you don't know if you're allergic or not.
Yes.
Right.
And it's one of those situations that I feels like, man, it's crazy because if your mom hadn't have been there,
Yeah.
they clearly weren't monitoring you closely enough to see if you had any sort of allergic reaction. Fuck, that's crazy, man.
Yep.
I want to say vaguely, but I feel like it's weird. It's like a vivid vaguely remember when I heard about it. I want to say the tour had just ended and we woke up in the hotel and I was flying home when I heard about it. And I just immediately panicked and started trying to get a hold of anybody that I could. I was like messaging Chris's grandma and his mom on Facebook because I didn't have their numbers. Like because you hear, oh, they're in an accident. Well, tons of bands get in accidents, but nobody really realized how at that point in time when we heard the Ghost Society was in an accident, you didn't realize how severe of an accident it was till you get on there and see the photos and you're like, okay, this is not an accident. This is like, I don't even know what the fucking word is. It looked like something it looked like something out of a fucking movie.
Yeah.
It was just insane, man. It was insane.
Yeah, there were some first responders there from a fire department, and they said that they had done several tours in the Middle East, and they said they had seen Hummers that got hit by
IUDs and shit.
Yeah, that looked better than our bus. Imagine them seeing that and their potential triggering PTSD. But I mean, we had a lot of people there helping us, and I mean, my parents found out from a fucking Facebook post. They saw that my mom was on Facebook and saw a Ghost Inside bus accident with a picture and went, "What? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I can't. No,
fucking insane, man.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is that if you weren't there, you didn't know, and if you were there, you had no way to tell anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So how would anybody know? You know,
Yeah.
until management found out or agent found out and started calling and notifying people.
When people who were driving by started stopping to try to help us, anytime someone walked up, I kept saying, "Can I please use your phone? Like, I just need to call my fiance and let her know I'm alive so that she doesn't find out from someone else that this happened. Like, I just need to call her and let her know. I just need to call my mom and let her know." But the problem is like, we were in a dead zone, you know? So like, even if they gave us a phone, like we couldn't even, if we wanted to, somebody had to drive like 40 minutes just to get service to make a phone call. And
It's crazy.
someone called, like Zach's mom still has the recording, I believe, the voicemail of like somebody calling that Zach gave his mom's number to this guy, and the guy drove to get service and called Zach's mom and left a voicemail to give her a heads up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Everything about it was such freak accident criteria.
Yep.
Like the fact that how it happened, the timing of it, like the fact that it literally couldn't have been more in the middle of fucking nothing. Like it was so in the middle of the desert where there's literally nothing and no service. Like,
and like the only 2-lane highway of the entire tour to like literally all of the worst case scenarios, and like a 1 in 10 million chance of it happening, but it happened.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
what was the road like when you learned that your leg was gone, right? Did you think that playing drums was even a thing? Like, did you ever think like, I'm going to be back and play drums again? Like, or was it, you know, like, cause you had to learn to walk again. You had to learn to realistically live again.
Yeah. I thought about getting back to playing drums again before I thought about learning to walk again. I immediately had my mind determined to do that. Even, you know, I think about it all the time that was probably me just like even if I don't know it, a defense mechanism to be like, almost fucking just stubbornness and like overconfidently being like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna let that stop me. Like, and if that's what it was, it worked because it threw me into a positive mind set of trying to get back to it. But I literally I was told that I didn't have a leg. When I came to terms with it, I literally went, how do I get back? I literally fucking locked in right there. I didn't think about it. I just go, drummers without legs, like Rick Allen, people who overcame, blah blah blah. Just like I was like, give me my phone. Like I just dove right into like, how do I fix it? How do I get back? Because I knew it was going to take a lot. I knew it was going to be hard, but I just like threw myself in. I didn't even allow myself a chance to feel bad for myself or anything. I just somehow, and I don't remember consciously like having a thought of like I could go negative or positive. I just went there. I didn't consciously do it. I just did it. Because a lot of people ask me like, how did you get yourself to the positive thing? Like so many people right there would have given up and went down a black hole of self pity. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't. I just didn't. Like I went right into figure it out mode. And that could have been, like I said, it could have been a defense mechanism or like a stubbornness of not wanting something to end because of something. And I want it to end on my terms. It just happened. I didn't make a conscious decision about anything. That's just how it panned out. I wish I had a more concrete explanation of why my mindset went that way. I have none.
Sure. I know that the road for you to actually getting back to playing was not exactly a linear one. It had a bunch of ebb and flow to it where it felt like sometimes you were sending us updates that were like, holy shit, big improvement updates. And then also, you know, the next update from you might be like, you know, 2 steps back kind of deal. And I know that, you know, you talked about Mary Freebed, and the doctor that you had there actually happened to be a drummer. So I know that a lot of the physical therapy stuff you were doing with him was centered around drumming and stuff. And I know that there was they were maybe trying to science the method of getting you back to playing a little bit too much, to a point that like it wasn't really working out. And I know that you had a period where you weren't stoked on playing anymore, where it was becoming more frustrating than then it felt worth kind of pursuing. And that's when your dad kind of presented the idea of the hammer to you. And we don't have to go too much into the hammer because it's been talked about a bunch on like other podcasts. And I will, in the show notes for this episode, I'm going to leave a link to the YouTube video that guy did with your dad, where your dad talks about his story about designing the hammer for you and stuff. Because I think that like there isn't a better way for somebody to tell like that story, that like that documentary mini doc thing on your dad is really awesome. But can you talk about the day that your dad pitched the idea of the hammer to you? Because your dad thought of this literally like day one in the hospital, but kind of thought to himself, I'm going to leave this to the professionals. I don't want to like overstep here. But when he could kind of sense that you were like maybe getting frustrated and discouraged, he stepped into dad mode and was like, before we give up on this, can I try my thing? Can you kind of explain a little bit what that situation was like?
Yeah, it was pretty much like to a T, exactly that. Like you explained it perfectly. Like got to a point where playing drums with the prosthetic leg just wasn't feeling right. It felt like it just was not going to work the way I had envisioned it and hoped. And I fell into this slump of like, maybe I'm not meant to do this again. And my dad had the idea literally, like I remember in El Paso, in the first hospital bed I woke up in, it was that early on that he like had this idea that he like drew on like a fucking napkin, or like, I don't know if it was that or like a little notepad. He's like, I think it should be something like this that connects to your kick pedal that comes up here. You play with just your limb. And I was like, interesting. I mean, okay, I see where you're going with this. But once I got to Mary Free Bed, I kind of was like, yeah, let's see what they can do. Let's see if maybe they do have some, because they have the means to. They have all of these like engineers and scientists literally that might be able to do something. And once that it got to a point where I wasn't feeling good about that, he saw it and he didn't even fucking say anything to me. I don't even know. I want to know. I don't know how long he just went in the garage and like was just making the hammer from scratch. I think he may have like came up and been like, will you just sit down on your throne, like where it's comfortable so I can take a couple measurements, please? And I think I probably was like, oh, okay, whatever, and
fine, Dad.
Exactly. And then one day he just like fucking had the hammer built. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. You made that? Insane. And he's like, just try it. The drums were already set up. They were like set up in my parents' basement, just like collecting dust, because I had kind of gotten to a point where I was like, I would look at him and be like, fuck.
Get so discouraged. Yeah.
And then I tried it and I immediately went, whoa. Instantly I could tell that there was way more of a response to like the action of my limb hitting the pedal to the time it hits the kick drum, like way more. And I could get more power into it. And the deal breaker for me was I could play triplet fills with the kick. And I could do them from the first time he showed me the hammer pretty much like right away. I kind of had it just from muscle memory of doing it. And I go, whoa, maybe this will work. And man, we just like, I just looked at him and he looked at me. We didn't say anything. We just broke down into tears. And I just fucking gave him a huge hug. And I was like, thank you so much for doing this. You might have just saved my career. You could have saved the band. Like I was ready to tell you guys, like the band should go on and just find someone. I'll always love you guys. I'm here to help write still if you need. Like I'll always be involved.
Oh, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, fuck you.
The band would have been done.
You're out. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah. That's where I was at though. Personally, I was like, got to a point where I was prepared to like be okay with that. But then my dad came in and just saved the day with that. He, from then on, like I played with it more and more, and then I got to a point where I was just kind of like playing along to our songs with AirPods. And I felt like, hey, maybe we could like get together and jam and see if it works. That's when we came to your neck of the woods,
Maryland. Yep.
And we did it. I didn't have triggers at that point, right? No. I think we just got together and had the kick mic'd up.
Yeah, because I don't even know if we did that because we didn't even practice with the in-ears for the first practice. We just got in like old school, throw some loud amps in a room with a drum set and just go for it kind of deal.
Yeah, that's true. We just needed to see like if there was any possibility. And then that's the practice we figured out, like it can happen.
We can fucking
make it work. And then you And I came to you specifically being like, dude, it sucks that I can't hit on the right as hard as I can on the left. All it takes is a little ankle action on my left, and that kick drum is booming.
Yep.
With this, I have to
Yep.
like lay into it so hard, and it still doesn't even come close to how loud it is there. And then that's when you and I started talking about triggers, and we've tried every trigger under the sun until we found the one that I use right now that just flat out works. Except for when it doesn't, which happens sometimes. But
Don't even go there. Don't even go there. Don't take me down. Don't do that to me right now. Okay, we're having fun talks now. Don't make me sad.
This is good. And also, just for those who don't know what the hammer is,
Oh,
I know
sure.
I know
we
you're
should
going to
describe
give
that.
them. I know you're going to give them the link and all that. But if they don't want to spend that time to watch, it's basically the pedal that your dad engineered that extends all the way up to, I guess, essentially where your knee would be, and it's a pad, right?
Yeah.
Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I always describe it as like you have your right kick pedal that's on the floor as it would be for a normal drummer. There's a metal rod connected to that pedal that comes up to a different pedal that's at the height of a snare drum, because that's about how much limb I have left. So it's a pedal that comes up to my snare drum. That's where the action for the right pedal comes in.
Yeah. And so now, instead of pressing his right pedal down with his foot that's no longer there, he presses it down with his residual limb, like basically his thigh, essentially.
Yeah. The action all comes from my hip my hip joint.
Yeah, but we tried all sorts of triggers and all sorts of different configurations of stuff until we got to where we're at now. But I will say straight up, even if you're not going to say it, if it weren't for your willingness to push through the frustration and your dad's Midwestern ingenuity, like straight up, the band would be done. Like straight up, like between the two of you, you guys saved the band. It's
crazy.
We wouldn't have gone on without you. Like straight up, there was no way that I would have felt comfortable walking back on stage at any point without somebody who was in the accident. You know what I mean? Like, we went to go through that together and then not continue on together was not something that I personally would have even considered at any point. So
yeah,
that's not a reality that would have happened. You know, so I mean, straight up, you and Larry saved the band for sure.
It's crazy. And again, I mean, that came from, I don't know if it's stubbornness or if it's just like pride. Like, I'm like, did I have this sense of like, I'm being completely just open right now. Like, did I have this, like, I don't think cockiness is the word, but like, did I have this like pride about myself that I was like, I'm not going to fucking, no, like, I'm not going to do that. Cause like, I say no. Right. Is that what it came from? I don't fucking know. And if it was that, shit, it worked.
I mean, I think that there was probably a level of that for all of us where, you know, I think that because we had joked about, but I also think that there was probably some sincerity to it. Had we realized we weren't able to actually physically play a show, we joked about booking a show, sitting on a stage together on like a couch or something, and playing the band songs through the PA, just to say that we ended the band on our terms.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a piece of that for all of us that was like, this accident is not going to be what determines when or how the band stops. You know, you obviously had the biggest hurdle to get past, but your willingness to push past that hurdle is like, you know, that's what made it possible for us to do it. But I think that all of us were with you on the fact of like the stubbornness fact of like, you're not going to tell us how this is going to end. Like, we get to make that decision.
Yeah.
And like I said, even if that means we sell tickets to a show where we play the songs on an iPod, because God damn it, we'll do it just to say we did it our way. You know what I mean?
That way in our heads.
Okay. So then this is a perfect segue to this point when you guys realized that doing a show was a reality. And you could make it happen. And then you went on sale and it sold like it did. And then it got upgraded and it sold again like it did. What were those emotions kind of leading up to that show? Because I personally, I was fortunate enough to be invited to do monitors for that. And ultimately wasn't able to do it. My uncle had passed away and I had to go to a funeral that week. But I still was there for the show. And I know the emotions that I felt and the emotions that I was surrounded by with probably everyone that was there. But I'm curious at what y'all's emotions were leading up to that.
Oh, dude. Well, the day the first round of tickets went on sale and they sold out in 3 minutes, I cried by myself. I sat in my studio at my parents' house and cried because I couldn't believe it. Like I feel like we booked the Shrine inside, which I think can be sold up to like 5,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
When we were like, and maybe, you know, Jim has a really good foresight for things like this, where I'm sure Jim knew it was going to sell out, but in my mind, I thought it's a lofty goal to sell it out, but maybe by the day of show, maybe we could get close to selling that out. For it to sell out in 3 minutes was never on my personal. I never believed that was going to happen. So that, like, from that moment on, everything about the show felt like otherworldly to me. Like, you know, in the months and months and months leading up to it, like everything about the show felt like this mammoth thing from that point on to me.
Yeah, kind of the same. Like, I remember the Shrine coming up as the venue of that we're going to do it at, and I remember being like, "That's so ambitious." Like, man, I don't know. And then 3 minutes, and I went, oh, no way. I was like, that's a glitch. And like, I remember our group chat going off and Young and being like, oh no, it's not a glitch. Like, no tickets are left. We're going to have to add more. We're going to have to add more.
Yep.
And they're going to do it in the parking lot. And I remember seeing somebody's kind of like bird's eye view shot of Bring Me the Horizon doing Shrine parking lot, and I saw that before. This was before the accident, I think. I saw that and I was like, that's crazy. Like, that, I couldn't imagine doing that. And like, then we did that. We all of a sudden, we went from like being, it's too big to sell that out inside, to going, oh, it's for sure going to be outdoor like that Bring Me show, and it's going to sell out and look like that. And I was like, that's, wow, people really like us. That's cool. Yeah. It was very emotional for sure. Like, I think again, like when it happened, I went into this, when it sold the way it did, it made me go into like you better fucking bring it and do this right. Because this could be the last one. Like, they're literally like, they always say like, play every night like it's your last. I heard that like Alex Van Halen say that in a documentary, like him and Eddie's dad always said, play every night like it's your last. You hear a lot of people say that. We thought this was that. Like, literally thought that the Shrine, this is going to be the last one. And then it happened, and we got up there and we all came off stage going, I want to do it at least another time. We got to go to do one in Europe. We got to go back to Australia, do one there. Like, we can't just hang it up.
Let's be honest. Day after the show, all of us were thinking, I can't move my body. The day after that, so 2 days after, we started saying maybe we could go do more when we were able to move again.
I'm actually not going to lie. I swear to God, I was okay. I was
I was fucking horrible.
I was my arms and wrists were a little sore, but other than that, I was like, okay. I don't know if I probably could have done another set that next night.
I felt like a 90-year-old man the next day.
I get it. Yeah.
You know, you mentioned earlier that sometimes our first rehearsals back, you go, maybe we should break up. I'll tell you what. The rehearsals for the Shrine, because of that pressure of like, we have to bring it, right?
So terrifying.
And like selling all these tickets.
It was stressful.
Dude, we practiced for, I think, actually 2 weeks for that show.
Yes.
And for literally a week and a half, we weren't ready to play a show.
No.
I was so scared because of how bad we were playing.
Yeah.
For literally like a week and a half. And then all of a sudden something just clicked and we got it together. But that was the most stressed I've ever been preparing for a show in my entire life.
Me too, because I remember was I using the trig mics then? I was using the trig mics.
Oh yeah.
And they were not fucking working. Something was wrong, and I remember it like started off okay, and then we ran into some problem with the triggers. I remember crippling myself into a ball on the floor behind my drum set because I was in anxiety that this wasn't going to work, and I was so fucking terrified. And then what happened? It just started working.
I don't remember.
What was it?
I don't remember.
Because I have the same fucking memory. I literally remember me like getting so stressed out that I like pushed myself off my seat and I just laid behind my drum sets with like with like my hands over my head, just like terrified that this wasn't going to work, and it's not working, and what the fuck happened, and then all of a sudden it just started working and it was fine. What the hell was that?
I don't know, and I could have gone without that extra level of stress. I'm going to be honest,
dude.
with
I
you.
know I was fucking.
That's why you got so
stressed.
many grays now.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
Chris had a way different level of stress than anyone, because Chris is like the orchestrator of all of our technical, the whole technical side, and how the show actually is a show. Like, and had never done it to us. This is the first time we had pyro, a big lighting rig, a package of, like we had never had cryo, cold spark. Like, this was just way above and beyond anything the band had ever done. So there was like a level of ambitiousness to it that we were like, what are we doing?
Oh shit, we bit off way too much, and we're not gonna be able to do any of it. Like, that's what it felt like for literally 75% of our preparation.
I swear to God, it was the last practice or two that we ran the set and we go, oh, it actually kind of feels good. I think we'll be okay.
Yep.
Man.
It was 2 weeks of like, we suck. We can't do it. It's not going to work. Andrew can't play. The drums aren't working. The fucking triggers aren't working. This keeps messing up. Then like the last 2 days of that 2 weeks, we're like, oh, we're good. We're good. And then
it's going to be okay.
And then we got up there, we played one song, and it was just like, oh my God, we're good to go, baby.
Yep.
We're good to go.
It was so fucking amazing. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Yep.
So what were the conversations like then afterwards that were like, all right, let's go do some more shows?
Yeah, I mean, we had gotten some offers. Once we announced the Shrine, like, people started sending offers, but our thing was like, we got to get through this one, right? Like, I'm not crazy, Andrew. Like, that's what it was. Like, we had kind of said that until we get through this, we're not going to commit to anything else.
Yeah, we straight up said, like, we're doing this show to see if we can even do it at all.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, like, that's what I said, like, up until like the week after that show, I thought that was the last one. We did it to say we ended on our terms, like we said we were gonna.
Yep.
And had no idea we were gonna go play anywhere else again.
Right.
That was the whole point, was to see if we could even do it at all, like physically.
But yeah, after that, it was like, okay, well, we survived ish. maybe we look at how we can go do this in a couple other places. At that point, it started being like, there was an offer on the table to go do Unify Festival in Australia. And then it was like, how do we go do this on the East Coast? And that's how we ended up playing in Worcester. And then, naturally the entire world shut down. So we just went on pause again, so that's really cool.
Wait, Worcester happened before COVID?
No, post-COVID.
Nope. That was the first show back from COVID.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I had I had to wear a mask.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was really special for me. Y'all asked me to come out and TM those festivals in the States, and it was a learning curve for me too. Like, I had never advanced shows for what's considered a handicap band.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that you think about that are like, oh, handicap accessible bathroom. Well, for the normal person, that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You don't think about that stuff. And then I remember specifically when we pulled up to Blue Ridge and I saw the site of Blue Ridge, and I said, oh no, this is not going to work. I had to go to them and say, hey, listen, I've got to have a golf cart. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, my drummer's only got one leg. There is no chance. He's a pretty big guy. You're not carrying him anywhere. There is no chance that we are going to be able to get him around this festival. Well, I got to have a golf cart.
Yep.
And that was part of it. And then we tried the Riot Fest. Okay, well, we can't provide you with a golf cart, but we'll give you a driver. Do you remember Riot Fest? What happened at catering?
Yes.
Backstage?
Is that where they?
One of the most horrifying moments of my entire career.
It was a golf cart.
That's not funny. That's fucking serious.
It was a golf cart. I got on the back of it, and she look at people. People don't think, and it's okay. People don't. They're like, oh,
okay.
well, he's got something there, so he's good. So I like start to get up on it. She just takes off, and I was like, whoa, and like. She stopped. Luckily, it was fine. I didn't get hurt at all. Nothing. And she just started to do it.
I'm sweating
and it was
right now
terrifying.
thinking about this.
Yeah. And then I got
so from that point on, I would not get on the golf cart until you were on the golf cart.
Yep.
I refused to get on and tell any it's not okay to drive until you were sitting down before I would ever get on fully.
Yeah, that
It was
could have
crazy.
been a lot worse. It was fine though.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much stuff like that we've had to, and I feel like we have gotten good at it now at this point. You know, between Jim and Buck and Josh, you when you come out and do like one-off stuff with us every now and then, like thinking through all of these extra scenarios and extra needs we have to have just for like everyday shit now when we go out and do stuff that we never would have had to ask about or prepare for before the accident. It's wild.
Yeah, like you know, Dave Buck handles so much of our touring needs now. Just like that whole last Europe tour, I would wake up, I'd come down, he'd be like making a coffee, and I'd just look at him, and he would go. And I knew that I knew, you know what? It just became language to us, and I knew that he meant it's a lot of stairs and no elevators.
Yeah.
That's literally like like that's a thing that became so common as like every day going like how many stairs are there to the green room? Is there an elevator in this venue? Some days there were. A lot of days it was like he would just do that, and I would just go, all right. And I would get into a mindset where I know I got to fucking trudge up and down steps all day.
That's just Europe too, because we were playing some big, nice venues on that tour, and they just like don't do elevators like we do here in America.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was actually curious to know, like, what is that like now being back full time? Because I know in the beginning, you know, adjusting to the you know, not handicap showers in venues or not. You know, that these are all things that the average person just doesn't simply have to think about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they would never
so
have
how
to.
is it? How is it? No. So how is it now getting back out there normal, you know, being not normal, full time, where it's just like, you know, sometimes this is just going to suck and I just have to deal with it and get through
That's literally it. That's the attitude you have to have. You just fucking suck it up.
Yeah.
Like, I might bitch about it from time to time, but like, dude, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I fucking signed up for this. I want to do this. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't. I want to be out here doing this. I don't want to do anything else. So what comes along with that? Having to take a fucking folding chair into this tiny bathroom, set it into the shower, and hop into it if I want to have a shower that night. And that's fucking it. Mm-hmm. And you just deal with it or not. Do I want to do this? Yes, I want to do. So it's worth it. Easy as that.
One thing that I remember having a couple of these conversations with you. I don't know if you remember it or not, but when you would have what you felt like was a bad show, what you do, your worst show would top anybody else's best show.
What about that?
Bro, you're playing drums with one fucking leg, man.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's like the impossible.
Well, thank you. I mean,
what you're doing is whatever is the majority of everybody's everyday. Well, how am I trying to say this? What you're doing is the majority of people's impossible.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying it. Yeah, it's just I
mean, it's the truth.
I obviously
it would have been so easy. It would have been so easy for you to pack it up and say, "Just not for me anymore. I can't do this anymore." Instead, you said, you know what? Fuck what everybody says. I'm going to do this because I fucking want to. Yep. Your worst show beats every fucking drummer's best show, in my opinion, any day of the week.
That's cool to think about it that way. I should start thinking about it more as a W more than an L. Like, for that reason. Like, the fact that I fucking got up there and, you know, bounced, you know, hopped onto my throne and took my leg off in front of all these people is a win right there. Bro, you know, like I should think about that more, but I just, you know, I hold myself to a standard that I just want it to be like, I want to make people go, how the fuck is he doing that? And when I hear myself mess up in my head, I go, they heard that. Fuck, I ruined it. But they probably didn't even hear it. Because sometimes I'll go watch it on YouTube. I'll go watch so many like videos of us from like recent shows on YouTube, and I'll remember a certain like, oh, in Split tonight, I fucking botched this part, and it's so noticeable. And then I'll go see the part, and I'll listen, and I'll go, you can't even fucking hear it. You can't even hear the thing I got so worked up about.
Playing with in-ears is so deceiving because we hear so much more than people out in the crowd will ever hear. that
And
like
the majority of them ain't even paying attention
No.
to like that.
Plus,
they're just fucking jamming.
They're jamming.
Right.
They're not paying, or if they are paying attention, they're paying attention to not just me. They're paying attention to all five of us.
everything.
So it's no
Right.
one is the only one hyper focused on me is if someone's like a drum nerd and is up there. They might hear it, but even still, it's like when you have a mix and everything else going on, it doesn't go as noticed as we hear it. I really struggle with forgiving myself with that, but that's just
Every time you fuck up, you should just be like, I got one leg. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like, what
see,
the fuck do you want from me, man?
I see that, but on the complete opposite
get it.
flip, I want it to be even better because of that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's where
get
it comes from when I get like critical of myself, because it's frustrating because I have the muscle memory of, and I'm my brain is doing something that sometimes this isn't doing.
Yeah,
I know,
but that's out of your control.
and that bothers me.
Yeah.
That's
defying
one of the big
odds.
that's one of my biggest struggles right there is accepting that like it's just gonna happen, and it's like, no, it's not, because I fucking know how to do this. I do this, like, and if it doesn't work with me,
I do this.
When it doesn't work with me, it gets under my skin really bad.
I can do this. I
have it in me.
Every night you're up there, you're defying the odds, dude.
Appreciate it.
Every
Yeah,
fucking
100%.
night. Let's shift gears a little bit, because this has gotten a little dark and emotional and all that stuff. I'm curious, you and I share the same love and the same passion, but where did your love for sports memorabilia come from?
Dude, it has to be from, it all started with like, I mean, Michael Jordan.
He's a collector at heart.
Yeah,
in
I am.
general.
I am by nature. So, but the sports
Me too. My wife calls me a hoarder.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like I have movie and horror memorabilia and like all the sports stuff. I collect so much shit. But like Michael Jordan era, 90s kid, that era of NBA, like I grew up loving even like Emmett Smith, Troy Aikman era for that, like Steve Eiserman and Shanahan and all those Red Wings. Like my Detroit sports from the 90s ran my life, and my family, all huge sports fans. Like we would always like watch games together all the time. Our Christmas presents would always be like, Cowboys jackets, Red Wings, Lions, fucking Michael Jordan jersey, Shaq, like that whole era. So like I grew up around jerseys and like just sports stuff. Like I have family who have worked for the Dallas Cowboys, like for Jerry Jones for years since I've been a little kid, and they still do. So like we would get like packages of like signed Troy Aikman helmets, like shit. Like I grew up around the shit and collected sports cards. My grandma would always take us to the card shop and buy us like a box of cards, and me and my brother would sit there and open them and put them in the booklets. And like it's one of the only things, my sports cards, that I've kept from childhood into my adult life. Every time I moved, every time I threw stuff out, never the sports cards. Those come with me. They stay with me. I've kept them close to my heart my entire life since I was a kid. And it just still to this day is one of my biggest like hobbies and just loves and passions.
You've actually kind of turned it into a little bit of a business too, right?
Yeah, it kind of is my little side hustle. Like when the Ghost Inside has any extended time off, if we're not actively writing or working on new material or doing anything band related, I sell sports memorabilia and cards on the side just as a hobby. It keeps me busy. It makes me a little extra money when we're not making money from the band, and it's something I love to do, and it's something that allows me to not have to go out and like do something that I necessarily don't want to do for income. Like I still my side business gets to be something that I am deeply passionate about, and I'm very lucky. And
speaking of that, what's it like to go this far into your life and not have a quote unquote real job ever, you lucky SOB?
I never have. I never have had a job. Like,
you know what? I think that is the ultimate flex, even though I know you're not flexing, but that like you just like, I don't know what the right word is, but you have had this like work ethic and determination that it's just like allowed you to just follow the things that you're passionate about to a point that they've been able to support you. And I think that's fucking cool and inspiring personally. I don't know. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
Because like I've always been full in on doing music and stuff, right? But I worked a couple jobs in the beginning to like, you know, help get things off the ground. And you've just, you know, it's
Never worked for the man.
Fortunate enough, yeah, never worked for the man. But you've just been fortunate enough to not have to do that. I think that's fucking cool. I'm actually pretty envious, to be honest.
It's crazy. Yeah, I never like also like my little dumb Midwest podunk brain. Just I never specifically went, I'm going to try to never have a job at.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I just like was okay with not having my own money for long enough to figure out how I could make what I like to do work for me.
Yeah, that's totally
and
fair.
I got very lucky. It's a little bit of luck and a little bit of drive and determination. And it really is. It is work. It is a form of work. I am working hard and everything.
Yeah.
So
of course.
like, but yeah, like as far as like, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't really care if I like saved up for a car for when I turned 16. I didn't have those. I wanted to fucking riff and play music and
Same.
and all that and like skateboard. So like, I don't know, just a weird kid that it accidentally happened that way. So now this hobby has carried into my adult life, and it's I get the same enjoyment that I did when I was little out of the hobby, while getting to make a little extra to pay bills for.
I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like there's that is the dream, right?
Yeah.
Like to love what you're doing, that you can also make money off of it, and you still love it while you're doing it. Like, who the fuck doesn't want that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And the thrill you get. I'm not a sports card collector. I like what I like, and I have some cards that I'm like attached to. You've sent me some cool cards, but I'm not like the feeling that you get from ripping a pack and landing one of those big cards. Dude, that just, it's like a full on celebration. It's got to be an adrenaline rush.
It fully is a fucking rush, because it's kind of like gambling a little bit. You spend a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes you'll put a lot of money down on like this specific series of this box, knowing that there's a chance to pull like a low number, like only fucking 5 or 10 of these rookie cards exist ever. They'll never print them again. You could pull that and like it's yours. And when you're ripping packs open and you're just going through, and I always like, I spread the cards out and I peek, because I know exactly what every one of the borders look like. And I'll see the one that is the most common one in what I do is called the downtown. And it's like, it's called a case hit. So there's typically on average one downtown card per case, which a case is like 12 or 20 boxes. And that's on average. Sometimes there's not even one in there. So when you see it, you go, you get this moment of like, because you know it's the card, but who is it? Is it fucking Jaden Daniels or is it Brock Purdy? Which either one's cool. But like, if it's like the biggest rookie, you have such a rare, valuable card, and it's like you get this like, it's so exciting, And I've been able to like, so I do sports card breaks on Whatnot, where people come in and I'll have sports card products on the screen, and they will bid to get a team, and if they win, they get a random team on this spin wheel, and then they get all of the cards from that team that they won out of all those boxes. So like, you could hit like the big team and get the big rookie, and like I got to pull a Jaden Daniels rookie downtown for someone that hit the Commanders, and there's like a clip of me going like fucking, oh my god, Jaden, like flipping out, because I'm excited, and I'm even more excited that someone else I get to ship that to someone, and they get to go to the mail. They're waiting all week to go to the mail. They're gonna see a package from Cold Commons and be like, this is my downtown. And dude, it's just such a fun hobby. And it's just,
you had me hooked on the helmets for a little while, and I only played one time. I only played with my own money, I think, if I remember right, one time, and I hit the Justin Tucker helmet. Remember that?
Yep. It was was it a purple?
No, black. It's right over there.
Okay, because I once hit a Zay Flowers one, and I go, I'm gonna give it to Josh. Yeah.
You sent it to me. It's right there. I could go get it right
from
in a second.
His rookie season. I was like, he's gonna love this.
Yep. It's right there.
we've been going for a while too, so we'll start to wind down here in a second. But since we're on this topic, and I don't know how we forgot to put this in the list of questions, but for being a guy who's loved sports cards like your whole life, how the fuck does it feel to be
good
on a Topps card now of you? How the what, dude? Are you kidding me?
What a crazy full circle thing. Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, there's this guy, there's Pat, and he works for Topps, and he messaged me. He, I think, noticed me posting my collection, talking about sports cards and memorabilia, and he knows I'm a collector. So he messaged me, he said, hey, I'm Pat, I work for Topps. We do this series called Allen and Ginter every year. And the whole thing about Allen and Ginter is it's an MLB product. So you get baseball players, past, present, you rookies, whatever you can hit out of packs, baseball players, but they do non-baseball players. So there's you can get Victor Wembanyama, you can get Caleb Williams, NFL players, NBA players. They'll do tennis players, non-baseball, and non-athlete people. So these packs, pack of Allen Ginter is 1, 2, 3, 4 MLB players, an actor, a comedian, a musician, and a hot dog. It's the weirdest, most eclectic card series out there. But he asked if I wanted to be on one, and I was like, are you kidding me? I get to be on a Topps licensed sports card. Yes, say less. So went from little kid opening cards to getting into music, starting a band, having an impact, to now the card business came to me to be on one. What a full circle crazy thing. Yeah.
So fucking cool.
Pretty
so
cool.
fucking cool.
Yeah. So
that rules,
it was cool. I went to the sports store and tried to get them, tried to open packs and get it. And I think I might have gotten one that wasn't the memorabilia one, but then the sports guy, did I send you a memorabilia one?
You sent me one, yeah. It's and it's
He had found it and he was like, hey, this is your buddy, right? I was like, yeah. He saved it for me.
Yeah. So if anyone out there is curious, it's 2024 Topps Allen and Ginter, and you can go buy those cards, and there's a chance that you can pull a card that has the shirt that I wore at the Shrine Comeback show in the card. I took it out of my closet, the shirt, the orange Violent Gentleman shirt that I wore on stage, black shirt with orange print. I sent that to Topps. They cut it up and put it in the cards, and they're in packs out there in the world.
That's pretty cool.
So it's fucking awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's move to the fan questions. I'm just going to throw this out there since you did create our theme song. We are looking for a title for this particular portion of the show. So if anything comes to the old noggin, throw it at us.
For instance, so the next segment we'll do after this is our rapid fire lightning round that we call our day sheet. So you're going to be the first episode of Late for Load In that now has questions submitted from our patrons over at patreon.com/LFLI pod. $1 a month gets you into the road crew. You can join our Discord server, and then you could
submit questions.
You could submit questions for future episodes, and you could also request future guests. So if you are not a part of that, go join right now. It's $1 a month. Come on. And Andrew, if you want to go ahead and right now on the spot, without thinking, name this next segment with questions from the fans, that would be quite appreciated. Go ahead. Go now.
Spicy dill pickles. What?
All right.
That's not going to be the name.
That's what I'm thinking of right now.
Okay. I'm going to ask the first one.
Go ahead. Now I'm thinking. I'm just trying to think because day sheet's genius. Wow.
I don't like it. I don't like you being on the spot for this. I think it needs a little bit more thought.
I like him being on the spot because this is what we do to him when there's demos. We go, Andrew, the demo needs a song title, and then he'll go storage paste or something crazy like that.
So from Rocking Tika, which 3 songs always put you in a good mood or bring a smile to your face?
Of any song.
On the spot, right now.
Any song. Now Ghost Inside.
Yep. And any song.
Which 3 any songs put you put a smile on your face, put you in a good mood?
She's American by the 1975. I'd Do Anything by Simple Plan, and Sunset by the Midnight.
Okay, I was gonna be real pissed if you didn't throw a Midnight song in there. I was gonna be real pissed.
That song, instant happy.
I'm gonna let Chris ask this next one because I don't know how to pronounce this word. So.
Tika also wants. She says, and by the way, Josh, we know Tika. She's from my street. And she comes and hangs out in Germany all the time.
That doesn't change a thing.
Yeah.
I do not know how to pronounce this word.
She said, "What are your funniest anecdotes from any tour?" So, and anything funny that immediately comes to mind from any tour.
What the fuck is that?
An anecdote is like it's like a, I don't know, like a funny fact, like a quick fact.
Okay.
I mean, for funny, dude, it's literally nonstop. There's like an endless supply.
Yeah, we literally are laughing all the time. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I really don't know how to answer this. There's so much shit.
All right, Tika, sorry, Andrew has never had anything funny happen in his life ever.
It started with me because I couldn't pronounce the fucking
fair.
word, so
That's fair.
I'll take the blame for that.
Okay.
And to be
here's
fair,
here's one right here. How wildly common baby wipes are for adult men in the touring world, and how much we talk about them.
Yep,
and different kinds of what we like, and the scents, and this and that, unscented. Yeah,
I'm gonna go on and tell you that Dude Wipes put out a holiday edition called Dumpkin Spice.
Oh yeah, Josh.
And
not
I
Josh.
have them.
Zach had them
I don't
on
like
the
them.
Euro tour.
I think they're right there in my bathroom right now. If I had to go guess.
We're just going to move on from this topic now.
All right, from Mike Hope. If you from Mike
insane.
From Mike Hope, if you were to make or choose a song for a professional wrestler, who would you want to walk out to your song?
Well, the obvious answer is fucking Stone Cold comes out of retirement, and he's it's just I'm genting, and he's just like,
oh yeah, dude.
But I think it'd be cool to write one for Rey Mysterio Jr. I was a big fan of him.
Yeah, he's sick.
I'm not super into modern stuff. I'm an Attitude Era guy. Undertaker, that'd be sick because you could do some like
that would be hard as nails.
Just some like
you get real spooky with it.
Genty like synth wavy thing could be cool. Yeah.
So Mara. You know Mara from my stream,
Mara, yep.
the legend that she is. She says, what accommodations or changes would you like to see the music industry make, whether it be venues, buses, instruments, anything really, to make playing or touring easier for disabled musicians?
Just really the basic stuff. Like if there's only stair access, add a ramp that you can get, or if there's a venue that's like 3 flights of stairs up and down from like backstage to the stage, get an elevator in there for people that can't walk or have trouble walking. Elevators and ramps like is the no-brainer. Like that would be awesome to have everywhere, knowing that you're good to go.
Yeah, I feel like obviously ADA stuff is like it's law, right? To have it for like the people coming to be at a show.
Yes.
But it's like for some reason they never take that into consideration for backstage ever.
I wonder why that.
Well, there's not.
I mean, I guess because you assume that most people are going to be able-bodied, but like
you know what they say about assuming, Chris?
That makes an ass out of you and you.
Okay, thank you.
But Andrew's obviously not the only handy capable musician out there, right? Like you would think that they would start taking this stuff into consideration.
Did you just come up with that? That's pretty clever. Did you come up with that?
No, I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart.
I was going to give you the credit.
I don't deserve it.
Take the credit.
From Corey, I'm not giving it to him now. Fuck him. From Corey, if you were stuck on a desert island with only 5 albums to listen to forever, what would they be?
Okay. The 1975 self-titled, The Midnight, and I would probably go with Endless Summer.
Good choice.
I need heavy in my life. So I would probably say, let's chalk it up to fucking Continent by Acacia Strain, so I can get some.
Great choice.
That's one of my favorites. I would say
that's not heavy. That's like murder.
Yeah. I would like to have something to fall back on if I'm like in a certain mood and want to just. I'd say something oldies, something like the American Graffiti soundtrack, some doo-wop, right?
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And the 5th one, I'm probably gonna have to go. Can it be a Spotify playlist that's like 9.5 hours?
Buddy, I feel like that's cheating. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, then we'll go with Blink 182 Enema of the State.
Wow.
Okay. That's a pretty good spread. You kind of covered all the bases there.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Corey also wants to know, is there new One Decade in the works?
Not currently, but there will be. It's just I only do it when inspiration hits, and I don't force it. It just hits when it hits. So One Decade is just completely contingent on an idea starting. One idea is all it takes, and one like, ooh, I want to do that. But I've been, in TGI mode for a while, really focusing on that. So it'll come eventually.
speaking of that, before I jump into the day sheet round here, when the hell are we getting the pop punk and synthwave projects you've been working on for fucking ever that are sick that need to come out into the world?
The pop punk one is like, I could release it tonight. The thing that stopped
Then do
The
it.
only thing stopping it is, dude, this is the dumbest thing ever. I just don't know what to call it. And I want to I have some
Sure.
friends that helped me out with vocals on it that did like guest spots, and I want to take care of them through DistroKid or TuneCore or whatever. It has to be called something to be on Spotify and Apple, and like, I don't want to call it Andrew Tkaczyk.
Sure.
I don't want to. I want to. Come on, I got to think of something cool, and I can't fucking think of anything. Maybe that's a cool
So now
thing
you got 2 names to come up with.
toss in the comments.
Yep.
Toss in the comments what I should call the pop punk thing.
Yeah,
Maybe that's a
good call. Good call.
good idea. Yeah.
Toss in the comments what he should call the pop punk thing.
Yeah.
That way he can focus on what we're going to call our fan question segment.
Yes.
And also, just name his fucking pop punk band so he can put it out already, because I've heard it and it's really goddamn catchy and the
That
world
too.
needs it. So,
That too.
on that note, let's jump into our day sheet round. So I'm just going to throw some rapid fire questions at you. The very first thing that comes to your head, hit me with it. No need to go much deeper than
Okay.
that. First one is favorite drummer of all time.
Travis Barker.
First album you bought with your own money.
Queen's Greatest Hits.
You're not the first person to say that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Favorite TGI song to play live.
Death Grip.
How much has Kevin Scaff spent on his wardrobe in the last 10 years?
Gotta be high 5 figures. At least. Could be pushing 6.
You know what? He looks damn good in it, though, so it's
Fantastic.
worth it. You know what I mean?
Do you want a number?
You know what? Sure. Just for fun.
I'm just gonna say 75,000.
Fair. In 10 years?
I might go higher than that.
Probably is. I'm going like low ball safe, but Scaff, let me know if I'm close. If you happen to see, that's my fucking
Yeah, Scaff, if you don't mind chiming in, that'd be great.
that's
bud.
my
Be
boy right
awesome.
there.
Leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments.
You know what, Josh? I think now we need to get Scaff on, and when we do his day sheet, we got to have him respond to
That's perfect.
to Andrew's guess.
I love that idea. I love
Yeah,
that
how much has
idea.
Andrew spent on sports cards in the last year?
There you
That's
go.
a great question.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yep, I knew that answer. Dogs or cats? This is a potentially contentious one in your household. Ew.
It's dogs, and she knows it. I do love both. I love our cats. I love our cats, but man,
Your cats are really
I
fucking cool.
love them to
They
death.
really
I
are.
love both cats and dogs, but dogs all day, number one.
Best movie of all time. You can only pick one.
Oh my god. This just immediately comes to my head. It might not even be it, but Castaway. Tom Hanks.
That was the topic of conversation on another call I had earlier today.
I think
I mean,
Castaway.
It is an all-time movie for sure. I was expecting to say some comedy, but that is a really fucking good movie.
Castaway is
Yes.
solid.
I was expecting to say something like fucking like Billy Madison or something of that era.
Well,
of
if you want to
comedy.
get into genres on another 3.5 hour podcast about movies, I'll do it.
No, it's okay. Let's move on. Messiest bandmate, and my God, if you say me, I'm gonna fucking flip my desk. Don't you do it?
Probably me.
I hope. Okay, I hope if you're listening to the audio version of this, that you just open up the video version on YouTube just to
This
see
is
his face
one-
when he
this is
admitted
Because
defeat
of how
there.
genuine it is.
This is one you can't watch audio only on.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
you need
You
the
just-
facial expressions.
You looked so sad saying that out.
Probably
saying that
me.
out loud. I don't think it's you. Is it you? To be fair, I don't think any of us are really all that messy. I think we're a pretty clean band. We don't trash the bus. We don't typically trash a dressing room unless Vigil gets a little crazy.
You don't need to sit here and justify your actions.
First off, he just
Let's
said
move on.
he just said it wasn't me. So
It's not
I can
Chris.
do whatever the fuck
It's
I
definitely
want.
not Chris.
All right. Well then, Josh, kiss my
It's
ass.
me.
We're moving on.
I'm not kissing
I'll take
anything
that one.
from
It's-
the messiest guy
Okay,
on
it's
tour.
me.
So we got 3 more here. Most underrated band right now.
Oh wow.
I have one that comes to mind that both you and I like that don't get
That's
really
me.
talked about that
That's
much.
me. That's a very
They're
good
very
one.
sick.
Yeah, they're so sick. Don't sleep on them.
Dream vacation.
Probably. I've already done it, but Hawaii does it for me. I know that's typical, but I would like to see all of the islands. I'd like to see all of them. A full Hawaii, round
Full
trip
experience. Yep. And then last one for the lightning round. If you weren't a drummer, what would you be doing?
I probably would be drumming. I probably would. I guess I would own a sports card shop. I don't know a lot. I don't do a lot of stuff no good. I go bang bang drum and I do that. I guess I would own a hobby shop. Yeah.
I could see that.
All right, last one. If you were given the opportunity to have a 5-minute conversation with Andrew before the accident, what would the message be?
I probably would tell myself to be patient with myself. I would say have patience. Don't beat yourself up over things, because time's the biggest factor there. It will come in time. Patience is like the main point I would drive home, I would say. It's a really crazy good question. Wow. And
seems to stump a lot of people, actually.
That's tough to say. I just sit there. I literally am putting myself in like a scene of a movie where I am talking to myself like the night before, just to say like, hey man, it's going to get rough. So have patience and, do not take anything for granted at all, ever. Tell everyone you love them. Kind of the stuff you hear everyone say. You kind of hear everyone say that, like always call your mom, tell her you love her. I mean, like, because it really is. We lived through the fact of like it could just fucking happen in your sleep. You'd never know. So, that's a really good one.
Well, on that note, Andrew, thank you so much for being you and
never change.
Yeah, literally never change. And just, bringing so much light and joy to all of our lives, my friend. I appreciate you. And thank you for taking the time to sit down and for our longest episode so far, which I'm not shocked by any means that it would end up being that way. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this with us, man.
Let's go, man. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. If you want, I'll come back anytime you want to have me down the road.
Well, we owe you a 3-hour podcast about movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Genre specific, so we'll have to figure it out a time.
Yeah, so I expect you to write a 3-hour long dissertation that we can sit back and watch.
You got it. I'll start working on it tonight.
Okay,
great.
Get to work. We'll talk to you later.
And they're gonna leave your pop punk names in the comments, so you can prioritize our segment.
and you can start working on the name of our segment. So thank you. Okay, bye now.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Bye then.
Hey everyone, Chris here, and I just wanted to take a second to say thanks for watching today's episode. You can check out more episodes of Late for Load-In on the right side of your screen and find any applicable links to this episode in the description down below. There you'll also find a link to our Patreon, which is the most direct way to support the show, and it's only $1 a month. Please consider giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to follow us on all social platforms, @Late for Load-In, @Chris_TGI, @Josh Carell. See you guys next week.